You are about to witness history in the making.
What's up, everyone? It's another Pop Culture Gamer podcast, and it's me, Hayden, and I'm here with Steve. Hi, Steve.
Ching ching, I'm here. Can you hear the ice?
Yes, we can hear you, the ice chinking away. God knows what this podcast is going to be like if he's on the gin.
Well, I'm halfway through the first pint, so come on.
The first pint, did you say?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah. I fear for this podcast. All right, so it's, well, what episode is it? We're on episode 15, so we're starting to rack up those numbers now, and it's the 8th of the 8th. Oh, sorry, 8th of the 7th, rather, not the 8th. I've made a mistake in the notes there. Obviously far too keen for the summer holidays to come. And it's an absolute scorcher of a day. Absolutely. We're sat here. We will be, well, full of sweat and probably stink to high heaven by the time the end of this show comes after 3 hours in a hot and sweaty, our hot and sweaty rooms. So let's move on. So Steve, what have you been doing?
Well, the heat wave hasn't helped, to be honest, because basically it's taken all my energy away.
I know that feeling.
With early starts at work and coming back, I just sort of nod off in the evenings. But I know this bit you won't enjoy, but let's quickly talk about football because this is why I'm chinking. Woo! To see England have an impressive start with the knockout stages, and as of yesterday, we're now in the semi-final for Wednesday against Croatia, and football's coming home. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
But for you, it's never been here, so you know.
Yeah, I mean, this is really, I mean, as we always say, we're either absolutely like exactly the same things or we are so far on opposite ends of the curve. And when it comes to this, as far as I'm concerned, football can go in room 101.
Yeah, well, you'd be on your own, pal.
No, I wouldn't actually. I think that there'll be quite a lot of people.
Maybe one I can think of who we were chatting to last night, but hey ho.
Yeah, you weren't winning that argument at all, were you?
I was so miserable. No, I wasn't actually miserable. I thought, well, I've sod you two, you crack on.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And just for that, thanks, Alan. Appreciate your support there.
Yeah. Anyway, so what else? Yeah, so I ordered my t-shirts from loudshop.com.
Yeah, they look good.
Yeah, and I thought I've got like 8 t-shirts now. So I haven't bought a t-shirt for donkeys. So that grab bag, which was a tenner.
Yeah, it's good value for money, that, isn't it?
Yeah, four sci-fi t-shirts. Ended up being 3 Star Wars and a Ready Player One t-shirt. 3 Beetlejuice t-shirts, which come in a Beetlejuice coffin, all made of cardboard.
Yeah, I saw that. That was really quite cool.
It's crazy. And obviously I had to get the Flash t-shirt. That was only a $5.
Yeah.
So, but I was just impressed with their service, to be honest.
Yeah, very prompt, weren't they, you said?
Yeah, really quick. Considering from a turnaround from waiting for about over a month for my Jurassic Park vinyl of the soundtrack for the 25th anniversary, which turned up this week. But it's funny how the postal service over there get you worried on the emails, because it says it's shipped from here, it's shipped from there, it's on travel to there. Then I had a text this week saying at 4:30 in the morning we tried to deliver it, and that was the last thing I'd heard.
At 4:30 in the morning?
Yeah. I thought, well, I think it normally goes to Langley from Heathrow, and then it's in the British Postal Service, but I'm assuming it has to sit in customs for a while, which this time I got stung with, but I got away with it last time. So 19 quid for tax, but it's not a lot you can do about that.
Why 19 quid for tax?
Because it was over 15 quid's worth of product. Forgetting what it is. But
so
yeah.
The VAT, basically.
Sort of, yeah, but it's like, say, import tax into the country, because I bought it abroad, you know. But it's worth it anyway, it's really cool. What else have I been doing? Oh yeah, Yeah, hear this? Ching ching. I picked up some ice cube sort of trays because I don't own it in the house. And in this weather, I think I just need some ice cubes. And I normally buy a bag of it in the local co-op. And that costs, quite a few quid these days just for the ice. So I bought one tray, which was 6 spheres. They're about the size of a golf ball. That was about £5 for one of those. And the other one I bought, which is made by Drinking Rocks, and they're based about 30 miles away from here. Not even that, probably. Much less than that. And they normally do Drinking Rocks, as in the ones that are like silicone that you can freeze and you can put them in your whiskey.
Yeah, and you just keep reusing them.
Yeah, but this one is ice cube moulds. And it comes with 2 ice cube moulds for 2.5 centimetres.
Yeah.
So they're quite chunky. They're about, so as I say, bigger than a golf ball, smaller than a tennis ball.
And the spheres.
Yeah.
So what you mean is you're dropping your chunky balls into your gin.
I am, yeah, my chunky balls. And I've just put there, my first test, it was under just over 4 hours, but I think it might have needed a bit longer in the freezer. But yeah, they're pretty cool, actually. Mrs. quite liked them.
You can get ones that are Death Stars and stuff like that as well, can't you? Have you seen those?
Yeah, you can. There's all sorts out there if you just have a hunt on Amazon.
And the Millennium Falcon and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, but to be honest, I thought I'll get those ones. They're pretty cool. Yeah. And these were only £9 for the Drinking Rocks ones. They're doing them as a special.
Yeah, that's not too bad.
And it went last night. And typical Amazon. I'm in the garden this morning. The guy turns up in a car. I mean, I'm just delivering these on its own. Oh, that's crazy. How does that work,
Yeah.
But Amazon, they do a good job of that, as we're much well aware.
Well, I don't know. I've had a bit of a to-do with Amazon this week.
Oh, really? What's wrong?
Well, I ordered a video for my son. It was a Dan TDM on tour video, because he loves Dan TDM.
Yeah.
And anyway, they said it's been dispatched. And then all of a sudden, yesterday, because it said it wasn't going to be delivered until Monday. So yesterday, pops through the letterbox an envelope, and my wife comes up and gives me it and says, what have you ordered? Nothing. Nothing other than, the Dan TDM thing. So I look at it, and it's addressed to me. It's got Amazon on it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, what on earth is this? So you open it up. It's a pack of 12 makeup brushes. Particularly, eyeliner brushes and
have you got? Are you coming out or something?
No, to be honest, I might like the song "I'm a Sweet Transvestite," but I'm not a transvestite. So I just sort of I thought, what on earth is this? So I thought, well, I don't know what's going on. So I get in contact with Amazon customer services. Can I have your tracking number? Yep, here's a tracking number. No, that's not the tracking number. Well, it says tracking number. No, that's not the tracking number. Okay, well, what about this number? Yes, that's the number. Yeah, so what is it? Well, I can't find that one. Is there any other numbers? Yeah, there's this number. No, I can't find that one on our system. What product is it you've been sent again? And they go around in this circle for ages. And then eventually this woman on the other end of the phone turns round and says, right, it's an unexpected gift. So don't worry about it. We won't say who it is because it's, a gift, and we don't say who the gift's from. Well, I said, well, that's a stupid thing. And I said, and also, it's not what's happened when I've been sent gifts by people through Amazon before. Well, I can't tell you who it's from, but I'll send you an email to confirm. So I said, right, fine. And literally 2 minutes after she'd sent me that email, my phone pinged and said, your Dan TDM DVD's arrived. So I thought, well, I never heard anyone come to the door. So I went downstairs, nothing there. And then I look on a Dan TDM order, because before it didn't have a tracking order on it. I looked on a Dan TDM order, and it's exactly the same tracking order as the number I gave the woman on Amazon when I first phoned up, and she said that wasn't the tracking number. So then I phoned them up, again and say, what is going on? I've been told this is a gift. It's clearly not a gift. You've obviously sent me the wrong thing. So, and it turns out they had sent me the wrong thing, and that the first Amazon helper that I'd had been blowing smoke up my pipe, as it were, because it was exactly the same tracking number. It says, yeah, it's obviously, it's a mistake by the driver. I said, well, it's not a mistake by the driver, because the driver's just delivering a package. This is addressed to me. The driver's delivered it properly. It's actually, you've put the wrong thing in the envelope to send me. And because it was one of these things that was supplied by Amazon, but was sold by, a vendor of Amazon, they had to reimburse me the money for me to reorder it rather than just send me out another one. What a carry on.
And then you could have just sent that package back with a label.
Oh, they said I could keep them because it's like a $5.99.
Oh, so it was just it was cheaper to leave them there than bring them back.
Yeah. But, not that I've got anything. As it happens, there's a couple of nice soft brushes, so they'll actually do for cleaning my camera lens. But other than that, what a carry on. But also, it was sort of like, oh no, it's a gift, and it wasn't. It was a mistake.
Crazy.
Yeah, it is really crazy, and I've never come across that before. I must admit, I've never really had any problems, overly with Amazon before now. So, a couple of little things, but nothing.
Well, I had, remember when I got my Predator album turned up? Yeah. And there was a scratch on it.
All right, yeah.
I phoned them up. They weren't delivered the next day.
Yeah, they're normally really good.
He said, right, I will email you the label to send the other one back. You've got a month to do it. I said, yeah, fine, no probs. So they're pretty cool about it,
Yeah.
Other than that, though, what else have you been up to? Much more? Anything?
Oh, it's been one of those weeks where I've been busy doing nothing much. Do you know what I mean?
As the song goes.
Yeah, well, it's because for me, it's been a really busy week because both at work, in my main job, we've had an Ofsted inspection going on.
Oh, yeah.
And my school's been Ofsted inspected as well, so I'm the chair of governors. So it's sort of like every which way I've looked, I've been kind of like, looking at Ofsted inspectors sort of thing. In one way, well, not that I've been with my main work, I dealt directly with the Ofsted inspectors, but sort of like gathering evidence and that. But it was just sort of like, go away, sort of thing. Anybody who works for local government, in children's service, I'm sure will know how that feels. And also, I've still got no news about when I'm changing roles as well and going over to the adult side.
Haven't they given you a start date for that?
No, I'm still waiting. So, hopefully it won't be too long. I went to see Jurassic World, The Fallen Kingdom, this week.
Yeah, I saw your tweet about it, Facebook or whatever it was.
Yeah, kind of like, it's a little bit inspired by the fact that we both started playing Jurassic World Evolution, to be honest. Which I have to admit I've not gone back to.
Well, speaking of gaming, as I say, it's been pretty poor for me, to be honest. But I have been playing that. And yeah, I've actually moved on a little bit with it now, and it's interesting how I'm doing it. But yeah, that's something to talk about later.
Yeah, I want to get back to that. But anyway, I'll talk more about Jurassic World later on. I got also free tickets to go and see Madame Butterfly, so I'm on a live broadcast at the cinema. That some cinemas tend to do these things of, a live stage production.
Yeah.
Well, I've got free tickets to go to see Madame Butterfly.
Is that going to be your sort of thing?
Oh, I'm getting all cultured, mate, in my old age,
Well, see, I like Madame Butterfly, funnily enough.
Yeah.
I remember it only because of the movie. It would have been Fatal Attraction.
Yeah.
When she was playing it in her apartment. I remember it in that very well because I think she was going to have tickets to see it with Michael Douglas, and it kicked off, didn't it? And it didn't go, and
yeah,
because she was a bit of a psycho, wasn't she, in that film?
Yeah, she was a little bit. But I've never seen it. To be honest, I've never been a big opera fan, so I'm not sure how I'm going to take it. But We can see. We can wait and see.
Well, you can always, yeah, just go for it and just, try and embrace it.
Yeah.
I know it might be difficult because opera isn't everyone's cup of tea.
Well, but to be honest, I got them free, so why not?
Exactly.
Might as well. It's a night out for me and the missus. Cheap date sort of thing.
Yeah.
Other than that, gaming. I was doing a bit of reckoning this week about how many games I've completed in 2018.
Yeah.
Completed being a variation of either getting a platinum or a 1K, or at least completing the story, because, obviously you can't complete a game with a never-ending multiplayer.
No.
So, to me, you complete one of those games when you've completed the story. And I've completed 31 games this year.
That's not bad, is it?
No.
You've had more time gaming than I have, I think, to be honest.
To be honest, I think I just, whenever I've got spare time now, I just fill up my time with gaming. But I've done 10 PlayStation 4 or PSVR games, 5 of which I've platinumed. And are they experienced sort of games, are they, on the VR? I think only one was actually a VR game, to be honest.
Yeah, okay.
And then, and actually that was a story as well. So that was, the Batman game. So it was only like hour and a half. But I've also done 14 1K completions in that time as well.
Well, believe it or not, we are halfway through the year.
I know.
Which is horrifying, to be honest.
So at that rate, then I'm going to have 62 game completions by the end of the year.
Well, I think some of the games that will be coming out at the tail end of the year are going to be sort of bigger games that are going to last a bit longer than most.
Yeah, but me, I always play quite a large range of games.
Yeah, we know you're whoring of achievements, yes.
Yeah, I've started doing it on trophies now as well, because I realise just how low I've been down.
Like?
I know. What can you do? So, anyway, that's pretty much my week as well. So, shall we move on to gaming this week?
No longer a dream, but a reality.
Okay, so gaming this week then. We've got a bit of Star Wars Battlefront news for you, actually. So, because I picked this up actually on the PlayStation, so I've got it on Xbox and PlayStation now.
Oh, okay.
Because it was only a tenner in Tesco.
I don't actually own this, to be honest.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a tenner in Tesco at the moment across the country.
Yeah.
So it's well worth picking up on either Xbox or PlayStation.
Oh, if I see it while I'm out tomorrow, because I'm a bit local for a day tomorrow, so I might have a little nose.
Yeah, well, I would to be honest, people have slated the campaign, but I quite enjoyed it as a story, because the campaign, you do actually come across like Luke and that in it, but you play the part of somebody who's an Imperial, and it's you're implementing the Emperor's last command, which, because you're part of Inferno Squad, and, it's basically about dismantling the Empire, and then going out, out into the unknown regions of the galaxy. And, it fits in, it's proper canon story, as you would expect, know.
Okay.
And it's really neat because there are some things that happen in the game that are actually directly referenced in The Last Jedi. So, for example, there's one mission where you come across Luke, and even though that you're on opposite sides, you team up with him, and he's after this compass, this Force compass, whatever it is.
Yeah. And
he gets it, and then in The Last Jedi, it's actually in his room.
Oh, okay.
On the movie. So it's just quite a nice little thing.
Yeah, I'm a bit sort of... I know,
you're a bit disillusioned with Star Wars, aren't you?
I am, even in the gaming side of things. It's just, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I need something different in sci-fi to.
It does look gorgeous as well, but the space battles are really good.
Yeah,
but it's more Battlefront, and we wanted better, a more longer story. You know, something more akin to, you know, this Star Wars games of old, you know, the original PC sort of games, like, you know, Dark Forces and stuff like that. We want something like that, but on the modern day consoles, I think, just to bring that life back to it. But anyway, back to the news, because that was a little bit of a detour there. Star Wars Battlefront is getting several updates this year, and EA has unveiled a roadmap that details what players can see and when in the new content. And the first update is out now, and it's free, which EA giving away free stuff, that doesn't happen very often, does it?
No, they're on recompense. I think they're still trying to...
I think they're desperately trying to hold on to it as a franchise, because I think that Disney want to whip it away from them, to be honest. Well, after all of the fiasco with this game.
Yeah.
But anyway, the new content includes a new Superhero Starfighter mode. Hero Starfighter is a new mode that pits 2 teams of 4 against one another. Every player spawns as one of the hero ships for their side, and when a player is killed, they can no longer pilot a hero ship and have to spawn as a standard fighter or interceptor or bomber. The standard ships have unlimited lives, and teams win rounds when all the opposing heroes' ships are destroyed, and the game goes to whichever team wins 3 out of 5 rounds. And this new mode will also offer a swifter way for players to level up any of their hero ships as well. So some pretty good points there. Hero characters that use lightsabers can now turn their weapon on and block blaster bolts with a lightsaber, but that will now consume stamina.
Yeah.
Ewok Hunt is back for a few tweaks to gameplay. There's a jetpack cargo is now available on the Great Temple of Yavin 4 map, and extraction is once again available as an operation, but only for the month of July. So, few different changes, but obviously there's going to be a lot more in that roadmap. So it might be worth... I think it is worth picking this game up for a tenner, because for that amount of money, it's really cheap.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said, that's just in any Tesco right across the country to get that at the moment. So, do you want to do the your releases?
Yeah, I was just looking at movie news, actually, which I'll just leave to one side. Let's scroll back up.
Glad he was paying attention to what I was saying,
Oh,
folks.
absolutely. I do 2 things at once, mate. You know me.
Wait,
Star Wars these days... Yeah, Star Wars makes me fall asleep in a minute.
My wife always turns around to me and says, you know, men can't do what women can do. And so what's that? I said, multitasking. I said, yes, we can. We can stand up and we can pee, and sometimes we can aim in the right direction as well.
Yeah,
so
and hold a controller at the same time.
Yeah.
Anyway. So, new releases. So on the 10th of December, we've got a couple here. We've got Bomber Crew, which is digital at the moment. That's PS4, Xbox One and Switch.
Yeah.
Also we have Shining Resonance Refrain on PS4, Xbox One and Switch. On the 13th of the 7th, we've got All-Star Fruit Racing, PlayStation 4 and the Switch. We have Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker, Switch and 3DS for Nintendo. We have Earthfall, PS4, Xbox One and PC. Hero Defense, PlayStation 4. Hotel Transylvania 3, Monsters Overboard. That's on PS4, Xbox One and Switch. Lego The Incredibles. That is PS4, Xbox One and Switch. And Octopath Traveler on the Switch. Not a lot there that I'm interested in. I mean, maybe Lego. I haven't played a Lego game for a while.
Funnily enough, I'd actually picked up Lego Jurassic World this week.
Oh, did you really?
I did, yeah. I've gone completely Jurassic Park crazy this week.
It's funny. I'll just bring this in anyway, just because it's to do with The Incredibles. But I really want to watch that movie. I think I'd love the first one.
Yeah, I did as well. It's a long time since that one, though.
It is, and I think Pixar movies have changed a bit since the time of the Incredibles, and we had the Toy Stories and all that came out before Pixar was bought by Disney. But it's quite incredible to hear that the box office has made $500 million in the domestic, in America.
Yeah,
Actually, just you can't imagine how much money they're making.
Just imagine what you actually want to do is the NHS to buy Pixar, and then it could be just self-funding by releasing movies. No need for insurance or anything like that. Just release another movie. That'll run a couple of hospitals for a good few months.
And so actually said about hospitals, I saw a great photograph today of Gal Gadot. She dressed up in a Wonder Woman outfit to visit some sick kids in hospital.
Yeah.
Bless her. I thought that was nice.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, she was actually. Do you want to do the charts?
Yeah, I'll do the charts. So, in at number 5, I can't actually see it because it's gone all funny on the screen.
Well, who put that in there?
Oh, no, so that was me, yeah. So, number 5 is God of War. Number 4 is Mario Tennis Aces. Number 3 is FIFA. Number 2, new entry, is The Crew 2. Mm-hmm. And number 1 is Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy.
Is that for any particular? Is that just because it's on the Xbox now, or...?
I think it's on all the main formats, isn't it?
Well, I think it came to PlayStation first, didn't it? And it's just been released on the Xbox, possibly.
Oh, another exclusive that's managed to make its way over, is it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's amazing how many exclusives that PlayStation advertise that are actually timed exclusives, but they forget the word timed.
They keep that quiet under there.
Yeah, at least Microsoft do say, oh, it's Tomb Raider, it's a timed exclusive. Anyway, because, it's out on the Switch as well, isn't it, the Crash Bandicoot game?
Oh, that probably worked well on there. Actually.
Yeah, PlayStation 4, Switch, Xbox One, Windows.
Yeah.
So
phone, probably.
Yeah, probably on a Casio watch as well, because let's face it, the games are that old that they could probably run on one. So,
yeah, absolutely.
I must admit, I've never been a big Crash fan, to be honest.
I did have it. I did have a few of those on the PlayStation 1 at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, played it to death and opened up all the tournaments. Found every shortcut. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, no, I've never really been that big on platformers, to be honest.
But being the ones the one I played most was Crash. Is it Crash Team Racing?
Yeah,
which is quite cool because that was obviously a take on Mario in a way. But very good.
So let's talk about games we've played. So. Tell us what you've done on Jurassic Park Evolution, because I wouldn't know about this, to be honest.
That's gaming finished. Yeah, so what I did was I started the second island, which is Matura.
Yeah.
And with this, it's got heavy storms all the time. So it starts off where you've got one set of rangers who's got to fix all the buildings. Now, the back end of this is that you don't have the money you've got from the first island.
Why?
Don't know. You don't. You start with your standard.
Okay.
So the money you have earned, like I think I've earned 100 million so far at the moment. I've used a fair bit of that just recently, but that sits on that island.
Right.
So starting off this island and keeping it sweet, and then every time you have another building which is looking for storms. So as soon as the storms kick off, you got to send everyone into the underground facilities to keep everyone safe.
So do you have like sirens and stuff like that too?
Well, yeah, but did you ever have the facility on the first island? Did you ever use it?
No.
Because what you do is you highlight it, and you can either click for one or for all, and all the sirens go off, and then all members of the park will run towards the nearest one.
Right. Okay.
And they'll go underground.
Right.
And they will stay there until you say the warning's all clear. So, but what was interesting was that, as you know, that I researched everything I could on the first island.
Yeah.
But this island gave me more to research around the world again.
Yeah, because I think to unlock some of them, you have to have more crews of surveyors, don't you?
Yeah, so, well, I haven't got that at the minute, but when I started making the facilities on this new island, giving it a research station and everything else, so you can get them to go and do the fossil hunting that you'd done in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
So what was doing, it was bringing me more stuff back. I was making different dinosaurs. So, for example, I did how do you say this with dinosaurs? They're terrible, isn't it? Dilophosaurus.
Yep.
And if you do you remember the one that squirts out of paste into Prey's eyes in the Jurassic Park movie?
Yeah.
You know, on the big guy that was trying to get away trying to leave the island.
Yeah, I remember the one.
So I've got a few of those now, and they all sound so cute until they open their sort of their gills, don't they? And they got these like flaps of skin.
Yeah.
And they just start being and hissing and all that. They're pretty cool.
Yeah.
So what's happening is I'm doing the research on that island, and what I'm then doing, I'm going back to my first island, and putting them in the park there.
Cool.
And because now, before I got to a point where I couldn't research anything regarding buildings, science and security at the time. I'd gone as far as I could. I've actually opened up more buildings, and I've actually got the monorail working, and I've rigged that up on the first island.
Oh, very good.
That goes all the way round. You can't ride it. I thought you might be able to, like you can do with the helicopter and the Rangers, but you can't, unfortunately. I thought you could.
I have to admit, I do wonder if they'll ever patch this, or rather not to patch it, but do a DLC on it so that you get different things. Yeah.
Well, see, what I need to do is, because I've had a few parts of the fence go down, and with those other dinosaurs, they've been eating my members of public. So.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the missions, wasn't it? Was to last 2 minutes without anybody being eaten.
Yeah, that was a doddle, that one, because at the time I was fully strength up and I wasn't actually losing anyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm actually I'm managing the first part more than the second one, but I'm using the second one for just purely research.
So do you have to keep flicking between them?
You can do, yeah.
So it's not a matter of once you've done with one park, that's it?
No, because you go back and carry on with it.
Right.
And hence the idea was that I got the monorail working. I built another hotel. I've got more of the underground places to hide.
Yeah.
If they run amok as well. I think I've got scattered about 5 now all around the island. So depending on wherever you are, you can get to one pretty quickly.
Did you see you also unlock the third island?
I've unlocked the biggest island.
And that one, you have like unlimited money or something?
Yeah. That's just a sandbox.
Right.
For fun. But I thought I'd carry on. I want to research and get that T-Rex going as soon as possible.
Oh, definitely.
That'd be fun. And probably use, because I think it'd be cool, once you've opened up a lot of it, just to go to that other sandbox and just build one to suit yourself, have a real good time on that other island, which is unlimited money.
Yeah.
Which is a nice way of doing it. So it's great. I'm loving it. I just I can't get enough of that game, to be honest.
Good chill out game.
It is. I mean, I've been playing a bit of Destiny, and I was on last night with Nicky. Started the DLC with him on the Osiris DLC. So we had a bit of go like that.
You should have given us a call, I would have come on.
He did, and you said you ignored him.
I never saw his message.
We was on till 1 a.m?
I never saw his message at all. So sorry, Nicky, I just never actually saw it.
And it's we don't normally do birthday shout outs, but it is his birthday today as well. So.
Oh, happy birthday, mate.
So but yeah, that was quite good. So we did that. On the PlayStation front, I've progressed a bit further with Detroit Become Human.
About time.
Yeah, as I say, I am savouring every mission, to be honest. Where did I get to now? I'm trying to think now where I got to. So I got out of the house with Cara. She had a haircut.
Yeah, so have you got to the fairground yet?
No, not there yet.
No, okay. Have you got to the house where you go for help? Where Cara goes for help?
I was only at the house that we stayed overnight, and then she had to find some new clothes because at the same time we had the characters coming in. The cop character.
Yeah.
Came to the house. So so we had him looking round where I'm thinking, where is she? And that was actually quite good fun because you had to duck and dive all of the cops, didn't you? Yeah, and to be honest, I got the way that story ended there, that part of it, that she stayed out of sight and out of mind for me.
Yeah, mine did as well.
And but yeah, it's a great game, and as I say, you're going to be chatting about.
Actually, so did you get right the way through without being spotted?
Yeah.
I was just about to go around a corner and there was a cop who I didn't see.
Yeah.
And then I started getting chased, and I got chased over the road by Connor as well.
Oh, really?
And you went from one character to another as well. So that was really, really funny, because you were running as Kara, and then you made the choice to either stay off the motorway or go onto the motorway with the child.
Yeah.
And I went onto the motorway, and then you went to be Connor, and then you had to decide whether or not to follow them or not. So I did.
Ah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, so there's so many different ways this story goes.
Yeah, yeah. So, if we segue into yours in, so you started Beyond Two Souls, which I do own.
Yes. Well, I carried on, I should say, rather than started.
Oh, so you had your game save?
Yeah, because I played this on the PS3 years ago and completed it. And then I bought it on the PS4.
Yeah. Because
obviously it's the remaster sort of thing. And I only played a little bit of it. But if you remember, the original, well, you wouldn't have played the original game, but the original game was a bit jumping all over the place in terms of time for your main character. Because the story is that your character is bound to an entity who can start to behave in ways that you don't particularly want, as it were.
Okay.
And, she's having medical experiments and whatever, done with her. She's being looked after by William Dafoe as well.
Oh, okay.
Because he stars in this.
Yeah.
And the story went all over the place. Now,
I've only seen the first 2 minutes of this, to be honest.
Yeah.
I've actually started it and just had a little look.
Yeah, well, you want to have more of a look, but finish Detroit first now.
Oh, no, I won't touch it until... because I've got Heavy Rain as well, so I've got both of those.
Yeah, well, to be honest, it doesn't matter which one of them. Just do one and then go to the other ones. But I quite liked Beyond Two Souls. And the original wasn't in chronological order. When I did the remaster, what they gave you was the option to actually play the game in chronological order rather than as it was originally released. Now, personally,
that's right.
I was quite happy with jumping back and forward, but I know that some people maybe struggled with, that trying to keep the causality in terms of, what events happened in what order.
Well, that's like when you watch the movie Highlander, that does that, doesn't it? It jumps around different time frames.
Yeah, exactly. Personally, I never had a problem with that sort of like jumping about. You can follow the story easy enough. And also, what was it? Memento as well.
Right.
If you remember that film, that was all jumping back and forth, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think, some people just can't cope with it, to be honest. I don't know why.
I don't know why.
Oh, we get a lot of that more in TV shows as well these days. Look at Arrow, for example.
Yeah.
And that jumps around from the island to what happened after that to what was going on at the real, in the real time frame.
Well, it's quite a good way of actually giving the story, because let's face it, we grew up with the going through A New Hope, or as it was then, Star Wars when it was first released.
Oh, yeah.
And then The Empire Strikes Back, and then Jedi, and then the prequels, whereas kids nowadays generally start with A Menace and work their way up. So that whole big reveal of,
no, I am your father,
is absolutely ruined. I remember, I remember watching that as a kid and going, oh my God, Luke's dad's the most evil man in the universe, and being absolutely blown away by it, because, it was, you'd never seen anything like that in film before. And I saved that for my son. I protected him from knowing who Anakin was. I wouldn't let him watch the prequels until he'd seen the sequels. And I sat him on my knee and I just watched his face as he had that same realization that I did. And it was absolutely beautiful to watch. Because I wanted to give him that moment, because he loved the film so much and he loved the characters, and I just wanted him to experience what I'd experienced, and it was great watching it as a parent. And, so that whole flashing back and forth, when you go back to the prequels, I see what the problem is, but some people struggle. Yeah. Anyway, you can choose it in whichever way that you want to play it. And it's basically more of what Detroit Become Human is, but obviously it's a not as polished engine. Things like, rather than showing you on everything an icon to say exactly what you've got to do, what button you've got to press or whatever, sometimes you just push in the general direction of where a dot is, and then it'll initiate the same sort of action that you would do if you'd have pressed an X or pressed up or whatever it is that you would have done. But it still looks an absolutely beautiful game, well worth playing, really, really fantastic story in it as well. So I would recommend it to anyone who likes that sort of interactive drama kind of, want of a better word, game, but the more, to me, the more interactive movies rather than they are games. Like Detroit Most Human.
Yeah.
And like Telltale games as well, with The Walking Dead.
I know what you mean, but I think they're more than that. I think they're a bit more than Telltale games are.
They are more. But, I mean, Telltale is supposed to be up in their engine after the next Walking Dead game. So let's hope that they produce something that's as good quality as this, and then we're going to have some fantastic interactive.
Because I just love this. I love the idea of the story and how you can get involved with it. That's where really what it does for me personally.
Yeah.
And that's what I always look forward to in some of those sort of games, because I just like a great story that you get riveted by, as if it was a movie, and you're just totally involved involved.
Yeah.
In it.
Well, I mean, with Detroit Most Human, I was like, the more I played it, the more I wanted to play it, and I ended up playing it and playing it and playing it so quickly. Kind of like when I got to the end of it, thought, I really wish I'd not done that as fast. It's funny, isn't it? The more you enjoy something, the more you try to do it, and then you wish.
It's a double-edged sword, isn't it? I mean, I'm because of the way it is at the minute, I'm just taking my time. But it's like watching an episode. All right, what you're doing is you're sort of binging it a bit, but I'm just doing a chapter at a time, as if it's a little episode each time I'm watching it.
Yeah, I mean, the way that I would liken it is, to someone who has watched Game of Thrones from season 1 on a weekly basis, to me coming in at just before the beginning of season 8 and binge watching everything right up until the latest episode. And it's a totally different experience, even though you're experiencing the same thing. And I don't know whether or not you actually cope with the fact that you've actually gone through the whole thing, and then it suddenly leaves this void. If you've watched it as episodically, I think you're probably more paced with it, aren't you?
That's true. Yeah, it's just the way it is.
Yeah, but we live in a society nowadays where everybody wants everything today.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So come on, next season of Game of Thrones, please.
Oh, sorry. Hey, where are we going?
Come on, Game of Thrones, it's coming home.
Anyway, what's Hitman Go like?
Hitman Go. Okay, so I picked this up on the PlayStation, and it's on, just about every format going, I think. But basically, it's quite a simple sort of puzzle game. So it's as a turn-by-turn sort of movement, and you are given a grid where you have optional objectives, and then you have to escape the level. So, for example, one objective might just be to get to the exit. But you might also have an objective to get to the exit within a certain number of turns. Or you might have an objective of getting the briefcase and getting to the exit. Or it might be kill someone and then get to the exit.
Okay.
And you have 3 effective things that you have to do on each level. Yeah, so one might be get to the exit without killing anyone, as you know, just as an example. And sometimes you can do all three all at once. So, you know, there's some of the earlier levels, it's like, get the briefcase, complete the level in under 12 moves and don't kill anyone. So you can do that. But then it gets more and more complicated. And what happens is, on this board, there are different characters, and some of them just turn round on the spot that they're on. And if you move into the spot as they turn round, they'll come onto your spot and stab you. Other ones run up and down, and if they catch you, you know, if you both land on the same spot, then they'll kill you. And then there are, you know, other characters that do different things as well. Some just stand still, and if you walk into their line of view, which is one square forward, in front of, you know, direction of where they're looking at, then you will get killed that way as well. But there are also things that you can also do. You can put on certain squares have, for example, maybe an outfit, so that if you put on a blue coat, anybody who's wearing a blue coat won't recognise you, but yellow coats will. Or there are things where you can throw a stone to attract the moving characters to go and move to the location of where you threw the stone. And, you know, different things like that, and trapdoors, so that you can go down a trapdoor at one point and appear at a different place in the map or at another trapdoor. So it becomes quite intricate to actually complete a level, and there are absolutely loads of levels as well. I think there's about 6 or 7 chapters, each one with about 15 levels in. So it takes quite a lot of doing. I'm about near the end of the 2nd chapter. But what I'm doing is I'm only progressing as I complete each level 100%. So, you know, if I complete all of the objectives in that level, then move on to the next one. But it's quite an interesting game. It's available on iOS, it's available on Xbox, it's available on PlayStation, it's available on PC. If you like puzzle games, you know, because it's presented to you as well like a board game. So it is quite interesting, but you know, you do one move and then everything else moves.
Yeah, I didn't. When I saw this, I just didn't float my boat, to be honest.
I quite like puzzle games. I quite like the.
Oh, don't get me. I do, but I just thought this was just a bit. I don't know.
Well, it's maybe not for everyone, but it's an interesting sort of little game. I've played it before on other, you know, on the iOS, and that worked fine as well. But I didn't complete it that far. On there, to be honest. It was one of those ones, because I think it was only a couple of quid at the most on the iOS you know, app. So I don't know, if you like puzzle games, it's worth a look. If it doesn't float your boat, then you know, if puzzle games don't float your boat, you won't be interested in this at all, so steer clear. My next one is called Planetbase. Now, because we played Jurassic Park, I thought, I'm enjoying this, but I also want to play something a bit more sci-fi. And I came across this. I think it's about £16. Or you can get it often on sale as well. I've seen it on sale as well. But basically, it's a strategy sim where you land on a planet and then you have to build sort of Jurassic Park, SimCity sort of style, your base. So, for example, you have to build a source of power to power your buildings. You have to build an airlock. You have to build a water reclamation unit to create oxygen. You have to create a dormitory. You have to create meal areas. You have to create science labs where you can grow food and also can replenish some of your oxygen. You have to build mines to get more resources, to build more things. You have to build storage, because if you build solar power, then you won't have any power during an evening, you know, when the sun goes down. So it's quite involved, and you have to keep your characters alive at the same time as well. So it's an interesting sort of take, but it's harder than Jurassic World is. You know, there's more jeopardy in it, basically.
Because there's another game, isn't there, which is based on Mars,
yes,
isn't it?
I was looking at that as well. I quite fancy that, but that's about £35 at the moment. And
Oh, is it? Ooh,
Surviving Mars, it's called.
That's it, yeah.
It looks really good, does that? Because there you build domes and things like that. But on this one, this is you build lots of individual sort of plots, but they also have to link in with each other, and some ones will be a dead end, like a dormitory will be a dead end. So you don't stick that somewhere where you want to link off to somewhere else, as it were. So yeah, there's lots to build on Planetbase. And it's a nice looking game as well. Surprisingly enough, it's a really, really small download. It's only about 600 meg. I was really quite surprised at that, to be honest.
So that's why it's cheap as well, is it?
Well, just because it's 600 meg doesn't mean it's not a good game. You know, it just means that there's not overly buffed with loads of extra FMV and whatever, you know, video that's been stuck in it, because that's generally what the cause for a lot of the stuff is, isn't it, for inflating the size of a game. But it's enjoyable and more challenging, to be honest, because if you do it wrong, your whole crew dies. And I actually got into a point where I was constantly running out of power, and I thought, right, okay, I'll build a weather, a windmill, because I was running out of power during a night, and I prioritised it as something to build. But the robot that builds it for you had malfunctioned and was basically scrapped. And even though I'd got it prioritised, everybody was just going to picking tomato plants. So I ended up, they all ended up dying because nobody thought, oh, he wants a windmill being done so we have power in the night so that we don't suffocate. Which was quite amusing, but anyway, that's what happened with that. So yeah, it's I think that Jurassic World is good because it's really chilled out. But I don't feel like I've ever felt this real jeopardy in the game. I feel like if I got to a point, I could start to bring it back. But there is definitely, on this game, once you hit over that threshold, you know you're going to die. So, yeah, but I enjoyed it. I've been enjoying playing that. The next one I've been playing is part of Game Pass, and although I've had this on disc for quite some time, is Super Lucky's Tale. Yeah,
I've played a bit of that myself, actually.
Yeah, so the main character, Tail, looks like Tails from Sonic, doesn't it?
Yeah, very true.
Yeah, although he's called Lucky.
Well, you've got to give him a different name, otherwise they'd be suing him, wouldn't they?
Yeah, plus he's only got one tail rather than two.
Yeah.
But it's an unusual sort of platformer, actually, because I normally don't really go for platformers that much. But some of this is a bit of puzzle solving. Did you find that on the levels that you played?
Yeah, because you had to go to do a certain thing, something to come out of nowhere that would give you a key to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But there'll be times where you're on a level which is a bit more time. You got to do it a certain way to get it right. And if you don't, you fail, and you go back and start again. And old school style, But it's all right. It's okay. I'm glad I wouldn't buy it, if you know what I mean.
I did buy it originally, but it's going for trade. Is that? But it's worth it if you like platformers. It's quite an enjoyable. It's an easy game. It's a good one for kids as well.
Yeah,
because it's quite cutesy, isn't it? But not really much more to say about that. My last game this week is The Journey Down Chapter 1. So this is a 3-part game, all of which are out now. And it's a point-and-click adventure. Nice bit of humour in the game, a la sort of, the old sort of LucasArts point-and-click games. And it looks okay as well. It's obviously all 2D, sort of like hand-drawn images. It's nothing out of this world about this game, but it's got a decent enough sort of story, but it's got some very cryptic kind of, kind of puzzles, a bit like Monkey Island did, with a sort of, not quite as good, but a similar sort of sense of humour in some places as well. And you just do the normal sort of stuff that you would do with a point and click. So, for example, you would combine two objects to make a third, which you would then use to complete a puzzle, and that sort of thing. It looks okay. It plays alright. The whole game, I would say, probably take about 3 hours to complete as a point and click.
Mm-hmm.
If presuming that you don't use a guide. I'm quite sure if you use a guide, probably do it in about an hour. But like I said, there's a lot of things where you've got to go back and forth. So, for example, there's one bit where you've got to create some food and you've got to go to several different locations for this. You've got to go and catch a fish, you've got to go and season it, you've got to go and do other stuff and, all this, that and the other, in order to be able to get past these doormen. Then you've got to, from there, create some sushi, which every time you walk into a room, one guy stops you until you actually do something to the sushi that then makes you say, oh, I don't want that. Then you take it to someone else who's stopping you from progressing further, and then he'll eat it while you escape and stuff like that. So it's a sort of, your bog standard sort of puzzles, really.
Yeah. Okay.
But if you like point and clicks, because they seem to have made a bit of a revival, really, don't they? I think a lot of the indie sort of, producers have actually gone down this line of doing point and click games. And I quite like them for the stories, to be honest. They're enjoyable. So I'm going to play chapters 2 and 3 at some point in this, I think.
Okay.
So I'll let you know if they're any better.
Yeah. Before we move on, there's something I forgot to mention, actually, being that we're on the gaming side of things, quickly.
Yep.
What's your thought on the new Xbox reward scheme?
I don't know. It hasn't really been going long enough for me to really have a go, although I'm level 2 on it.
Yeah, me, I think I'm something like that. And obviously I've got
there's only 2 levels, isn't there? Level 1 and level 2. And you earn 3 times as many rewards if you're level 2.
Yeah.
But you have to earn at least 1,000 points every month. Yeah,
because there's obviously some little quests you can do to pick up extra points, like doing a what should we call it?
Bing searches and stuff like that.
Yeah, and surveys and I mean I know it's not a lot, but it's if you let them build up, I mean, I think it was something like 6,000 points would get you a game or something like that, wouldn't it?
No, it'd get you a month of Game Pass.
Wasn't it? I thought. Well, not that Super Lucky Tales is ideal, but that was 6,000 points for that. I think I might be wrong.
I've not seen any games being advertised.
Yeah, there was, and also there was the pirate one as well. The one that was on Game Pass.
Oh, the Microsoft exclusive one.
Yeah, and then there were some competitions you could enter using like 100 points and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's like sweepstakes and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, it's all right. I think I need to see it develop a little bit. I mean, it's certainly, to be honest, the old, Xbox rewards scheme. I don't think I really ever got very much out of it. It's like every 6 months I got like £2.50 or £5 or something onto my account.
Yeah, I mean, I think recently, the last time I looked, I had like 12 quid in it.
Yeah.
So that was handy because that made a major game that was 50 quid was 40 quid, which was doable,
Yeah.
I think that was for Jurassic Park I did that. So, yeah, it's I don't know. We'll see how it progresses. At the moment, it's not, I suppose it's in its early stages.
Yeah, definitely.
I can't say more than anything else what it is or what it isn't. But we just have to see how it progresses, I assume.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it, I've got like nearly 15,000 points in there.
Yeah, I don't know what I've got at the moment, actually. I'm not too sure.
But
yeah.
there's different things you can do every day. Oh, if you buy Surviving Mars before the 15th of July, you earn 4,000 points.
So, I mean, actually, what would be, if you can start to extend your Xbox Live account with it,
Yeah.
that's probably worth doing. I mean, all right, mine's got a year to go yet. I bought some decent deals, so it's got another year until it's
Yeah, and they do sweepstakes and stuff like that as well, don't they? So, for example, 7,600 points will get you a Ticketmaster gift card or a Starbucks gift card or Pizza Express or House of Fraser.
Yeah.
Better spend those ones fast at the rate that they're closing the stores. Debenhams as well.
Yeah.
Xbox Game Pass, 6,800 points.
Yeah.
So if you're buying stuff and it's giving you points and then you're doing your Bing searches every day, then effectively speaking, you might never have to pay for Game Pass.
No, that might be a little incentive, actually, just to try that out, you know?
Yeah.
So I will have a little look while we do a few Bing searches.
Yeah, got to do it, haven't you?
Yeah, that's it. Anyway, just thought I'd mention it. I just forgot all about it the other day, so I thought I'd see what you know.
Yeah, no, I've been in it since it started because I was in the old system.
Yeah, we were. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway, moving on, we'll go on to movies, TV, and streaming.
In quest of a better life,
all right, so news time first off then, and bit of bad news really. Spider-Man and Doctor Strange co-creator Steve Ditko has died at the age of 90. So he was the artist who co-created the heroes and many more. He was evidently confirmed dead by the New York City Police Department, saying that he was found dead in his apartment on 29th of June and is believed to have died 2 days earlier.
All right, okay.
Yeah, so he's not believed to have married or have any children, although he does have a nephew who's also named Steve Ditko, evidently. So Steve began his comic book career in 1953, and by 1955 he began illustrating for Atlas Comics, the precursor to Marvel, where he met Stan Lee. And in 1961, Lee recruited Ditko to help him create Spider-Man, and Spider-Man debuted in 1962 in Amazing Fantasy number 15, and Ditko stuck with the Web Slingers main book for its first 38 issues, during which time he also co-created the famous villains like Dr. Octopus, Lizard, Electro and the Green Goblin, so all of the really key characters for Spider-Man. And in 1963, Ditko teamed up with Lee again to create Doctor Strange, who debuted in Strange Tales number 110.
There you go.
So, there we go, a bit of a potted history about him, but yeah, it's a shame when, people who have, created these icons start to pass away, isn't it? But much is much with life.
Yeah, there's going to be a few of those over the next year or two, because they're,
Yeah, well, there's funny things going on with Stan Lee, because he's been getting, what do you call it, injunctions against his former business partner, evidently.
Really?
Yeah, some weird stuff going on, and before he's been quite outspoken, supporting him for whatever it is that's happened. I don't know the details of it, but I came across a news article yesterday that was talking about that.
Jesus, it's crazy.
So who knows what that's all about. Anyway, let's move on. So Steve, do you want to do the new cinema releases?
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so 12th of July, we've got Skyscraper.
I'm looking forward to this, actually, because I'm really liking Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Look, I've got a little bit of a man crush on him, to be honest. I think he's a bit of a laugh.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, I think what's the last movie I saw? It would have been Baywatch. Just park your brain and enjoy the fun. And he takes the mick out of everyone in it. It's that sort of thing. But I've noticed with Skyscraper, I've just seen it on Facebook. Have you seen the poster?
No.
Well, look at the Die Hard 1 poster.
Oh, it looks like that, does it?
And yeah, it's half of his face on one side. Obviously, with Bruce Willis, you've got the Nakatomi Tower on the left.
Yeah.
And on his poster, it's identical. Oh, boy.
No, I must admit, I quite liked Jumanji when he was in the redoing of that. Well, the sequel.
Actually, funny you said it, because Sky have just given us this month's movies that are coming out.
Yeah.
And that's on the list for this month.
Well, I've actually got it in 4K.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'll be able to see it in ultra high definition on the TV, so that should be pretty cool. But yeah, I know this is a bit of a segue. We got Star Wars is coming out. We've got Jumanji, and there's Justice League. So quite a few big films.
Which Star Wars?
The latest one. Solo?
No,
the one before that.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, I know. Never mind. But anyway, Star Wars is boring these days. But anyway, so there's quite a few good...
Solo wasn't.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, so that was, there's quite a few good movies coming out this month on Sky.
Yeah.
I want to watch Justice League again, because I quite like that, Makes a change from Marvel. But anyway, so the 13th of July, we've got Incredibles 2.
I'm really looking forward to seeing this, actually, strangely enough.
I think if I'm going to go once to the cinema that week, I think I want to see Skyscraper.
Yeah, but if I was to go twice, I'd want to see The Incredibles too.
That has the time to do that, yeah. Why not, Also, we have got First Reformed, Marrowbone, and Racer and the Jailbird, which I know nothing about.
No, me neither, either.
But I think the big ones for the kiddies for the summer holidays will be Incredibles 2.
Yeah. Well, let's face it, one for the adults, Skyscraper, and one for the kids, Incredibles 2.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I do hope, though, in terms of this movie, what they don't do with Incredibles 2 is what they've done with Toy Story and with Cars. Because, I don't know about you, but if you've seen the latest ones, but I find them quite depressing. Because Toy Story dealt with Andy growing up, and then, the toys thinking they were going to get dumped or put, they were all planning, we'll be in the attic together and whatever.
Put to sleep or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, and so that was really depressing. And then with the latest Cars movie, because I actually quite liked the Cars movie. I liked the first one because it was Doc Hollywood was a story, more or less. And the second one was just like, a good fun secret agent one. And you can never get enough of Michael Caine doing any voices, can you? So, yeah. But the third one sort of like dealt with, McQueen being an old has-been racing driver or racing car. And it's sort of like, why do that? It's a kid's cartoon. Kids won't get it. They don't get that, they've watched, Cars 1 and 2 with McQueen being all, they don't get the fact that actually he's getting older because he doesn't age, he's a cartoon character. It's like, you suddenly don't get, Tom and Jerry with Tom chasing after Jerry with both of them running around with Zimmer frames in front of them, do you? It's daft. I just don't see the need to take the stories down that sort of line. But that's just personal anyway. So we'll move on to the DVD and Blu-ray releases. And to be honest, not really a lot out this week apart from one film, which is Red Sparrow, which is going to be available on Blu-ray, 4K and DVD. And I think this is probably going to be the nearest thing that we're ever going to see of a Black Widow sort of style movie.
Yeah.
So, I've forgotten what her name is.
Jennifer Lawrence.
Jennifer Lawrence, thank you. Yeah. So, it's Jennifer Lawrence in a sort of spy drama where she's been conditioned sort of a la Salt kind of way.
Yeah.
But she's more like a Black Witch sort of, Black Widow sort of character. but I have not seen this at the cinema. I'm quite surprised it's come around so fast.
Well, I'm trying to
it
think.
seems like only 5 minutes ago it was at the cinema.
Well, it's one of those that came and went pretty quickly.
Yeah.
To be honest.
So does that mean it's not very good?
Well, no. I mean, I think the same thing was with Atomic. Which was that one? You know, the one with the assassin.
Atomic Blonde.
Yeah, that was pretty much the same, to be honest.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we'll see. There's, I mean, the way we eat, the way we consume movies these days, you just, they really come up really quickly sometimes. Yeah,
they do, and some just seem to lay there at the cinema for absolutely ages.
Mm.
It's like, when I went to the cinema this week, I went with my mate John, and we hadn't seen a film for probably about 4 or 5 weeks.
Right.
And Deadpool was on then, and it was still on when we went.
Right.
So, although I must admit though, we didn't end up going to the big posh cinema this time. We went to the Ritz at Thirsk, so it was like, the old school, where you kind of like expect an organist to be playing in the back.
Yeah.
But I love that place. It gives you a real old school sort of feel.
Yeah,
all right, so shall we do cinema charts? Do you want to do cinema charts? I'll do DVD.
Okay, so the charts we have, number 5, we have Sanjay, or Sanju. 4, we have Tak. That's T-A-Q. I'm going to pronounce that correctly.
Tag.
Sorry. Oh, yeah, it's all right. Number 3, we have Sicario 2, Soldado. I don't think I've seen the first one of that, so I'm not too sure about that poem.
No.
Number 2, okay, Ocean's 8. Maybe good for some, I don't know.
If you're a Sandra Bullock fan.
Well, actually, I quite am, actually. I've been a bit of a soft spot for her. And, of course, the film that's sitting there at number 1, with no surprises, is Jurassic World, The Fallen Kingdom.
Yeah.
Which I'd like to get to see it at some point.
It's worth seeing. Well, we'll come on to that in a minute. So, DVD charts, we've got number 5 down from 4, The Darkest Hour. Number 4 down from 2, 50 Shades Freed. Number 3, still holding its ground, is The Greatest Showman. At number 2, new in the charts, is The Shape of Water, which my 4K Blu-ray of that's arrived. And at number 1, staying at number 1, is Black Panther. So, Steve, I see that your TV and streaming this week is the World Cup.
Do you know what? I haven't, because last week I was still on call.
Yes.
And I just haven't, it's been so hot. The World Cup's been there. That is it, really, yeah. And I've been loving it. I've been watching it in 4K. I've been watching it in VR. Trying all these different ways of avenues of watching the World Cup.
So what's the VR experience like? What's different about the VR to the rest?
Well, what you get is the main viewing arena you get is like if you're in a box at a football match.
Yeah. So
you've got the goalposts on your left and on your right, and you're looking from left to right as the teams run up and down the pitch.
Yeah.
And what you have is another icon, which is the goal. You've got the goal on the left and the right, and there's an icon. If you get your reticle over to that icon, you're then sat to the left-hand side of the goal as if you're behind.
Okay.
So, for example, when a corner's being taken, I would then go to that view. So I'm sitting there with all the mics, with probably the banner behind me on the pitch. And you're that close, and you're watching. I can look to my left. I can see the ball coming across me as it comes into the bunch of players in trying to, when they take the corner. It's different. Again, it's something a bit new and a bit different.
Yeah.
From the BBC. But yeah, it's interesting. It makes it a bit different. I think you can do it with the PS4 as well. Apparently, I use my Samsung Gear.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting.
I must admit, even though I've literally not watched any of the football, which is probably no surprise to you. I was tempted to actually boot up the PSVR to see what it was like.
No, you should do that. There's only, I say, you haven't got many games left to try it on because we've only got 2 semi-finals and a final, so there's 3 games left. And the next game's Wednesday night, and they're going to have both semi-finals on at the same time.
Yeah.
So you can choose which one. I don't know how that's going to work. I think the BBC have got the England game, and the ITV will have the other game with highlights of the England game afterwards. But yeah, just on the BBC, you should just try it and just for 10 minutes while the game's on, and just see what you think.
Yeah.
As an experience.
Yeah.
Other TV, actually, what else have I been watching? Obviously, Sheldon is still going on. There's a couple of episodes left of that before that finishes.
What's Sheldon on?
Channel 4.
Right.
So that's been really good. We're up to about 22 episodes now for this season. So, yeah, that's been okay. And where now it's getting to be thin on the ground for TV. It's that time of year to watch a bit of Gordon Ramsay.
God.
So we're with the missus. We sit and watch MasterChef USA. That's it. We do like a bit of cooking programs.
You do know that there's the new Krypton TV series coming out as well, don't you?
I do. I saw the trailer about 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
I knew it wasn't going to be Smallville. I knew this is something completely different, as they say. But the trailer looked pretty good, actually. I think even the missus might even watch that.
Yeah, I wish my missus would watch even a quarter of what your missus would. I would have a lot more in common with her.
Yeah, no, because I mean, there is a program she watches on Netflix, which is about these vampires and werewolves. And if it's on, I'll say no.
What's that one?
Oh, I can't remember what it's called now. But what you've got this girl. She's sort of ginger hair. She's quite long hair, and this is her story with the vampires fighting against the werewolves. It's typically done the same way that Vampire Diaries would have been done, if you know what I mean, or Twilight, something like that.
I was just about to say, is it Twilight that she's watching?
No, it's not. It's actual. It's a Netflix show.
All right, I'll have to have a look for that.
And while you're chatting a minute, I'll have a look on my phone because I've got Netflix on my phone anyway. To have a look. So yes, there's not much more. Well, I've got to watch Supergirl, actually. I've got a load of those to watch. And I've just... What else? Oh, yeah, I've just come to the last episode of Bulletproof.
Right.
Which was on Sky.
Yeah.
With the guy now... I've been really silly here. I can't remember his name, but he played Mickey in Doctor Who.
Yes.
And also
do you know what? It's really, that is spooky that you're actually talking about him, because I haven't wrote it in the notes.
Yeah.
But I was going to talk about a film I watched this afternoon that was on last night.
Yeah.
That had him in as well.
Well, he was in Star Trek Into Darkness.
He was, because he was a member of Section 31.
Yeah. Dropped that ring in the water and it went boom.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a good cop. It's a very adult cop show.
Yeah, Noel Clarke he's called.
Thank you. That's it. Yeah,
yeah,
great. He's a good director as well, by the way.
He's a good actor.
Yeah.
I think, because I watched him in The Anomaly.
Oh, okay.
And this was on Channel 4 not Channel 4, Film 4 last night.
Yeah.
And basically, the story is that he's a guy who had trauma in his life and went to somewhere to help him. And then he wakes up in a van with no knowledge of how he's got there. And it's in blackness. And he finds a torch, switches it on, finds a child tied up. And the child said, these men came with red masks and have kidnapped me. And she, how did you get in here? And he says, I don't know. And then he escapes with the child, and these guys chase after him. And they get into a churchyard. He gets into a fight with them, and then all of a sudden he blacks out, and then he wakes up somewhere else, which is a few days later.
Yeah.
still himself, but he's with one of the guys who had, he'd been fighting, and clearly they were both on the same sort of side. And then the story is about him time hopping, and every time he hops to a new time period, he has 10 minutes, and then he hops to the next period. And he uncovers what's going on, and he's trying to stop this professor releasing this virus that will, impact the world, and basically, I won't say any more, but because there's more to it than that. But it's called The Anomaly, and it really is well worth watching. I really enjoyed it, actually. Because one of the times when he wakes up, he's in the middle of the job as well. So yeah, it definitely, and it's got a few twists in the plot as well. And when he does wake up in the middle of having sex, then he realises he's actually in a brothel that's run by these Russian mafia, and he's in a different country altogether. And he tries to rescue the prostitute who's being forced to work for this Russian mafia guy. And she comes into the story as well. And it all, crisscrosses and whatever. It's well worth having a watch. And he is such a good actor, to be honest. I know that, Mickey was a bit of a jokey sort of character in Doctor Who, but don't let that take away from the fact that this guy's, Noel Clarke is actually a good actor.
No, by far. I mean, that was he was a bit of a wimp, that character. But I mean, I think was he in Attack the Block? I can't remember if he was now. No,
that was Finn off Star Wars.
That's right. Yeah. But did you? That was you put the tweet out. You watched, or did you just turn it on and True Lies was on, so you just sat and watched it?
Yeah, because it was actually, this was on straight after True Lies.
Right.
But yeah, I was watching it. It's True Lies has been on twice this week that I know of. And anyway, the missus went out yesterday with my son to go to some, see some thing that was on at Northallerton.
Yeah.
And I thought, right, okay, I'm going to watch a film. So I sat downstairs and I thought, let's have a look, see what's on Film 4. Stuck Film 4 on, and it's True Lies. I thought, I love this film. I haven't seen it for ages. I'll sit and watch it.
Yeah.
And I'd forgotten how much I loved that movie. How funny it is. And of course, it's also got Faith from, Buffy the Vampire Slayer on it as well.
Yeah.
She's his daughter. And I was watching it, and I was thinking, I love this film. I'm going to pick this up on Blu-ray. I'll go and buy it from Amazon. So I went on Amazon. All it came up with was DVD. And I thought, this film's been out for 20-something years. Why is it only DVD? So I thought, it must have gone out of production. So I'll go on to eBay.
Yeah.
Went on to eBay, nothing on eBay. Started doing some digging around. Evidently, it's on James Cameron's to-do list. After he's done the Avatar sequels. So he'll probably be near his death by the time those films come out, to be honest. So we might never see True Lies on Blu-ray.
But
what gets me is that it was on Film 4 HD. So it's clearly in HD. Why can't it just stick it on a Blu-ray disc?
Well, maybe it was a bit of an upscaled version. I don't know.
I don't know. To be honest, I'd be quite happy with an upscale version, to be honest. I just want the ability to watch the movie.
Thinking of that, because obviously, I'll mention it after you talked about The Matrix in a minute.
Okay.
But you want to talk about
Jurassic World.
Without spoilers, of course, because I do want to see this.
Without spoilers. So, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, obviously the sequel to the last Jurassic World movie. So obviously this is a second trilogy, because there's Jurassic Park and then there's Jurassic World. Jurassic Park was 3 films. This is the next sequence of them. Interestingly enough, the Lego game actually makes reference to that, the Jurassic Park trilogy or the new one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because you can choose which one you want to play. But basically, it's a couple of years later on after the last Jurassic World movie. And it stars Chris Pratt and the woman from that film as well. You know, they'd obviously had a bit of a fling after, you know, they left the island, and he left her, evidently, although she reckons that she sort of like told him to leave. So they have this bit of a debate going on between them. But basically, they go to, and they're recruited by a multi-billionaire who's the guy who played Zephyr Cochrane from First Contact, to go and save the dinosaurs. So what's happening on the island is that the dormant volcano on the island where all the dinosaurs are has started to erupt. And basically he wants to get as many dinosaurs off the island as he can to a new island where there's no volcanoes. It's got natural barriers, so they won't be able to go anywhere. And one of the things that they want to do is the blue sort of like velociraptor, whatever it was, from the last movie that Chris Pratt had actually brought up, was the only one.
They had a bit of a friendship going there, didn't they?
Yeah, it was the only one that was left. You know, and it was like really mega intelligent and whatever, and they wanted to make sure it was preserved. So they needed Bryce Dallas Howard, who plays Claire, and Chris Pratt, who plays Owen, to go in, activate all of the computer equipment, because all of the dinosaurs have trackers, so that they can find where Blue is, and then take this team that they've put together, capture the dinosaur and take it away with all of the other ones. And should we say not everything is how it seems?
Well, that's where we leave it there, because otherwise people are gonna have a swipe at you for saying too much.
Yes, I'm not going to say any more than that. What I will say is there is one scene where they leave the island that is incredibly emotive. I mean, really incredibly emotive. And I'm just going to leave it there, hanging there, because I think if I said what it was, it would spoil it. And I don't want to spoil it for anybody who wants to see it. But you will know the scene that I mean when you see it. So, I mean, in terms of it, there's some really funny moments in it, as a lot of films have nowadays. And it does what it says on the tin, and nothing more, nothing less. It's not going to win any Oscars for Best Picture or anything like that. It's just another one in the Jurassic Park storyline that progresses the story and is entertaining and opens it up for another Jurassic Park after that. But other than that, that's all I want to really say about it, because it is worth seeing. I enjoyed it. It's an enjoyable average movie. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because some of the Jurassic Parks went to fall by the wayside after the first couple. Actually, the second one wasn't the best one in the world, but
no,
you can't really. When you peak on the first movie, it's difficult to try and beat that.
Yeah.
To be honest. But yeah, that's the way it is.
So, my next one then is The Matrix 4K Blu-ray.
Didn't go to plan this, did it?
Not initially, no, because I got it. I was so excited about getting this because I thought I loved The Matrix. It didn't appear in my top 10, but it is one of my favourite movies, depending upon what mood I'm in.
Yeah, I know, because our top 10 can be subject to change all the time anyway.
Yeah, because I think we could do another top 10 and have completely different movies in, to be honest. Although I do think that my top 3 would probably still stay the same. But the other ones might vary. But yeah, so this was released recently. It's just the first movie from, 99? Can't believe it was...
Possibly as late as that, yeah.
Yeah, it was such a long time ago, was The Matrix, and you forget how long, and how much has moved on in terms of filmography and stuff like that since then. But it was 11th of June 1999. So this film is nearly 20 years old, 19 years old.
It's frightening to think that.
It is,
because
very
we
frightening.
think of our favourite movies that are 30, 40 years old, and you think, well, I saw them as a teenager.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing, yeah? If I'd said to you, the use of the guillotine, when would you say that stopped?
The use of the guillotine?
Yeah.
As in for real, you mean?
As in for real?
Probably not that long ago in France, I'm sure that carried on for quite a while.
But when you think about the guillotine, you think about the sort of like 19th century, 18th century.
Yeah.
Yeah? Actually, Star Wars was in existence and the guillotine was still being used. So, because the last time the guillotine was used was in 1977 after the release of Star Wars, and it was officially abolished in 1981. So there you go. So it's amazing how time tricks you, isn't it, in terms of how you think about certain things.
Well, it's funny because when I watched the Netflix, BBC show, was it last week or the week before? I don't know if I mentioned it, which was based on Christie's life, who's a serial killer in the UK.
Yeah. And
it was played by the guy that did Tin Star.
Right.
The Sky Show, do you remember?
I remember the name of the show, but I don't remember the show.
So that was about a copper, wasn't it, in Canada?
Right.
English guy.
Okay.
Do you remember that one?
No.
Anyway, he plays Christie, and I keep thinking it was earlier than what it was, because this was in the 1900s as such, and it was actually before the Second World War. Because then one of Christie's, one of the people he killed and buried in his house, this girl, he got a boyfriend hung, and they were hanging in prisons then.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you think, God, they should be carrying on. To be honest, might give us a bit of a space, Yeah. And I was watching it, and I saw this hanging of this kid in this prison. I'm thinking, Jesus, something that was stopped quite, But it's just pretty amazing that things like that they did exist. I mean, America's still got the death penalty. I mean, we don't want to get a bit political, but
yeah,
it's a thing.
I don't know. I think that there are certain times when maybe the death penalty might be appropriate, to be honest.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So anyway, you thought The Matrix did look pretty cool, yeah? It was
not at first, because I stuck the disc into my player. Yeah, this is not going to be Xbox bashing before we start. I put it into
a Blu-ray player.
Into my UHD 4K Blu-ray player. Played it. Came on. Fine. And I was looking and I was thinking, is it me or is it like jittery? Because it was like playing a bit, then there was like a real short pause, and then it played a bit more. And you know how when you're at the cinema and if they do, a lot of movement, sometimes it can be, jittery. It was like that, playing the disc, and I was thinking, what's going on? This, and I was looking, I was thinking, it looks okay quality, but it looks upscaled. And I was thinking, no, this is a rubbish thing. And I thought, I don't think that, I think there's something wrong here. So I decided to go to my settings in my Blu-ray and check my firmware, and downloaded the latest update.
I always check that for players.
Yeah, to be honest, I tend not to until I get to a problem. So, and I downloaded the latest update. My God, what a difference. Blu-ray, smooth as silk. Absolutely smooth as silk. from the very start, and the visuals on it. It looks really, really good. To be honest, absolutely stunning, and it is a true 4K movie as well. It's not, upscaled from 2K or anything like that. It's all 4K.
I'm looking at the back of the box. It says here 2160 ultra high definition.
Yeah.
On the back of the box. What have you? I mean, I know you might not have a chance yet, but I do love a good bit of extras on some of my favourite films. Have you? Is it the same ones before?
I don't know, to be honest, because I haven't played the extras.
Yeah.
So, but I've just really enjoyed watching a film again because it's been, do you ever get where there is a film that you love, so because you love it so much you don't watch it all the time because you don't want it to be spoilt?
Sometimes, I mean, to be honest, I love the movie Avatar.
Yeah.
And that is a long film, especially if you go for the director's cut,
Yeah.
And I watched that once in a really blue moon. But actually, I could do the 4K version of that. Would be pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I'm a bit similar, but with films like my ultimate favourite, Shaun of the Dead. I'll make sure I don't watch that any more than once or twice a year, as opposed to watch it a few times on the trot.
That film, I don't think will ever get a 4K treatment.
I know, it's such a shame as well, isn't it?
Because it's that sort of film where I'm looking at the moment, and I'm waiting to push the button on the 30th anniversary of Die Hard, the 4K Ultra HD edition.
Yeah.
Which is a fantastic film.
Yeah.
There are films like this that deserve that treatment. I mean, the Terminator 2 is all. Have you got that?
No, I want to get it.
And that you look at that. I've dug out a DVD and put it in, and then swapped them over.
Yeah.
What a difference.
Yeah.
It really is,
Yeah. Well, The Matrix. Wow. I was looking at it. I was just thinking, this is really how you want to watch this movie. It was better quality than what I'd seen it at the cinema. Yeah.
Well, there's a few discs I wouldn't mind. I mean, Prime Day's coming soon.
Yeah.
So I have to keep an eye on July the 16th to see if anything's available.
2001.
Yeah.
That was in my top 10.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. I'm not sure what's available at the minute, especially for some of the older films.
Yeah, it's not out at the moment.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there are some great films that they could go 4K on. I'm sure we'll see Star Wars at 4K at some point.
Yeah, possibly.
They'll be holding off on that so that they can sell us it as a 9-part series for £100 or something like that.
Well, here's a good one for you. I'm just looking on the Predator trilogy. The 3-movie collection.
Is that Predator 1, 2 and Predators?
It's Predator, Predator 2 and Predators, yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm not that fussed, to be honest. I'm quite happy with that, just having it on HD.
Yeah.
And then upscaling it, to be honest. Because it's not one that I watch a lot because I'm not that overly fussed about it, if you know what I mean. What about,
actually, because it's coming soon, is Ready Player One.
Oh, I'll be getting that 4K.
That's 6th of August.
Yeah, be getting that 4K.
And what else have we got coming soon?
There's one coming soon next week, actually, if I remember rightly.
I tell you what would be nice, but it's £40. And that's the Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that to drop, because it will ultimately drop.
Yeah.
But it's just waiting for it to happen.
Yeah, do you know what? That is a lovely collection. Just looking at the back of the box there. Oh boy, yes. But that's not bad price. If you think about it, you've got 3 movies. So you're talking about 12, 13 quid each.
Yeah.
When you break it down like that. Also,
Tomb Raider's next week.
Do you know what? I've heard a bit of a bad feedback on that movie.
It's all right. It's not my favourite, but
I'll tell you what else is coming out on the 6th of August, actually, is the first Predator on its own. Now, that's worth going for. Anything with Arnold anything with Arnold Schwarzenegger in it.
No, I'm not that particularly that bothered. In a matter of fact, when you actually look at the Blu-ray releases for August, it's quite slim pickings, to be honest. There's only, well, in a matter of fact, there's for the whole month there is what is normally released in a week. So
you got Rampage on the 20th. How about that one?
Yeah, that was a fun switch your brain off and just go along with the flow.
Yeah. But you see, I mean, you got obviously you talk about Jurassic Park. The Jurassic Park trilogy is £50.
Yeah.
That's again for 3 movies. And Terminator 2 at the moment is $16.94. Get it while it's hot. That's a good price.
Terminator 2?
Yeah.
Where's that at?
Amazon.
Really?
On Prime, $16.94. I'm looking at it right now. I'm just going through the list.
Oh, I think I might have to be ordering that.
And see what else there is that's coming up. Inception's now £20, and a couple of other bits and pieces. Nothing more there really. Actually, that's a DVD. The Fifth Element Limited Pop Art Edition, Steelbook, region 3. Anyway, I'll be talking all night long with that.
Actually, Terminator 2, it's slightly less than 17, isn't it?
$16.94. What was it?
Yeah.
16. Yeah, I did. I said 16. Something like $16.94.
You can't go wrong for that, can you?
No, I've already got that, and it gives you the 2D Blu-ray as well.
And I'll have it tomorrow.
Is it tomorrow on Prime? Let's have a look. Get it by the 10th, Tuesday.
Tuesday. I'll have it by Tuesday.
Yeah. Star Wars Last Jedi. Yeah, okay. Right. Anyway, moving on.
Okay, so that's it for this week. I did start to watch The Shape of Water. But I've not really got that far through it, but it is different.
Why? What I did say is, did you agree with me about the first 10 minutes?
Yes, I did. Yeah, that was quite obviously what she was doing in the bath.
Anyway, moving on.
Moving on. So we haven't got any tech talk, have we? Because you were going to talk about all your tech, and you've not talked about any of it yet.
No, I've not been prepared. I'll try and prepare something for next week.
Okay, so in that case then, we'll move on to this week's Big Debate.
There was something missing.
Okay, so this week we asked you what it was that you wanted us to talk about for the Big Debate. And we gave you 3 options. I can't remember what on earth they were at the moment because my brain's just suddenly gone. I think it was about books.
TV soundtracks, was that something?
TV soundtracks. And the other one was the Back to the Future series movies as well.
Which no one obviously wants because it didn't win it.
No, but books was by far surprising. This actually surprised us, guys. Was the one that was the most popular. So, that being the case, we've gone through, in completely different ways, actually, in terms of identifying what our favourite sort of books are. I've kind of like gone by author, and you've gone by... Well, you've gone by author a little bit as well, but
I've just gone by books I remember reading. I mean, I'd say 2 of them are sitting here. So they're actually here. The others I don't actually own. I've actually listened to an audiobook recently, even though I've read the book before the certain film came out back in '74. That's a long time ago for a book. But and I was going to put in there The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but I knew you'd mention it, so I don't need to say. I can just sit a slight bit of penny's worth in on that.
Okay, so there goes a spoiler for my bit then.
Well, everyone's going to know about that. Come on.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I'm not sure if looking at that, I'm not sure about the last part. I don't know. Because I do have the audiobooks as well, and the vinyl of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So
yeah. Okay, so do you want to go first with what books you...
Well, I've only got a few. I mean, it's either going to be really boring for some people. I'm not... Do you know what I mean? It's difficult to judge for talking about books.
Yeah, it's kind of like very focused on our likes, isn't it?
This is the book club, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the first one of the first books. Well, I've got 2 books by the same author. So the first book came out in 1895.
It wasn't priced £18.95.
No,
that was actually the year it came out.
That was the year it came out, believe it or not. And the same with the second one, which you can see the notes.
Yeah.
And what astounds me is that this author thought of this stuff that we take for granted. But really, a lot of science fiction comes back to this one author, which is H.G. Wells.
Yeah.
And one of the first books of his I read was The Time Machine. And if you're not too familiarising yourself with it, this is about a Victorian scientist who propels himself into the year 802,701 AD. I can't even imagine what year that is. But he comes across the Warlocks and the Eloi in this story. And for being a Victorian, it must be quite amazing to think that, to actually go through that.
Well, I mean, how many times has the Time Machine been depicted in movies?
Twice.
More than that, hasn't it?
I reckon I'd put twice. The original one from the 60s.
Mm.
And then there was the one that came out with, I'm going to say, the guy that was in Neighbours. Sorry. So I know it's the wrong way of putting it.
Yeah.
But you know the guy I'm on about?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what his name was, and it's screaming out at me, but I just can't remember for the time being. I don't know.
Don't worry, Internet Movie Database will come in handy.
Because he was also on Memento, because we were talking about that earlier on as well, weren't we?
Yeah. And so the Time Machine was
Guy Pearce.
Yeah, 2002 that was.
Yeah, it was. It was.
To be honest, I prefer the original. I think the original is more closer to the book. And that came out in 1960, 4 years before I was born. And I think it's a fantastic story to come from someone of that era.
Yeah.
Because it's... Who has the mind to think up of something of a time machine in the 1800s?
Well, exactly.
It's a very. If anyone wants to ever read it, it's a very short book. I mean, it's only about. What am I going to say? It's going to be about. If I can have a look here, about 100 pages.
Yeah.
So it won't take long to read.
It's more like what we would call a short story these days.
Yeah, probably so. And going on from that, his second book, I mean, he has done quite a lot of it. I could have gone through all his whole list, actually.
And it wasn't called The Time Machine 2.
No, it wasn't. And believe it or not, War of the Worlds came out in 1898.
Yeah.
And again, this was first serialised in 1897 by a magazine in the UK, and then by Cosmopolitan in the US.
Mm.
The first appearance of the hardcover was 1898, published by William Hemner of London, and this story of the Martians invading the Earth. I mean, God, where was his brain on when he thought of that one?
But also for how the Martians were ultimately defeated as well
by the common cold.
Yeah.
And what is quite amazing about this story is when they did the novelization for the radio.
Yeah, it was so realistic.
The Americans thought they were being invaded. Gullible.
Yeah.
But joking aside...
Do you know how to keep somebody gullible always questioning?
Go on.
I'll tell you later.
Yeah, okay. So I think H.G. Wells, he's done some other ones as well. I can't think off the top of my head there. What did he do? He did First Men on the Moon, which is quite a good one as well. That was made into a movie. So
The Island of Dr. Moreau.
Yeah, his brain was in the wrong era.
Mm.
Do Do you know what I mean?
Imagine what it would have been like now.
Yeah, absolutely. Just fantastic. I mean, people probably don't think of H.G. Wells. Well, a lot of people won't know who he is, maybe, but a lot of stuff that you watch today, it all stems back to him.
Mm.
Even ironically, Back to the Future.
Yeah, well, it's referenced, isn't it? Him and Jules Verne are both referenced in Back to the Future.
In the third one.
Yeah, because Jules Verne did Journey to the Centre of the Earth, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Around the World in 80 Days.
Yeah, and
from the Earth to the Moon.
Yeah, and you know there's some classic books there to read if you want to try and delve into some old sci-fi.
Yeah,
you know. Moving swiftly on. When I was, how old would I have been? I would have been. Think about it.
10,
11, even maybe. When I read a book in 1974 that was a bestseller for 44 weeks. And that was Peter Benchley's Jaws. And we all know where this went to and what it's done in cinema history. But I read this before. I don't know, what am I doing? An 11-year-old kid reading books about sharks? But I was fascinated by sharks as a kid. But the original book was fantastic. I do own that on Amazon with the audiobook.
Yeah.
Which is a great listen
on Audible.
Yeah. It's on there and it's well worth listening to because it's nothing like say they took a large chunk of the book out of the film. Ironically, Steven Spielberg wanted the shark to win, but that never happened, as we're well aware.
Yeah.
Just another fantastic book, and a little nod to that Peter Benchley was in Jaws, and he was the guy on the beach doing the interview. If you remember the scene with all on the beach before the shark, where the fake shark came up. So yeah, he was on that as well.
Mm.
So yeah, another. I say a fantastic novel, which to stay nearly a year as a bestseller is not. I don't think there's many books these days that can do that.
No,
because I think books. I think they come and go as much as movies do. They'll have their moment in the charts. I mean, I suppose some examples of books that are as much as what Jaws is would have been the Harry Potter books.
Yes.
Which I've never actually got to read. Maybe I should do, actually, is to go through those.
Mind you, some of the ones that I've mentioned later on, I'm going to come on to, have been number one in the New York Times bestseller list and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. So quickly moving on to one that I'm sure you wouldn't be surprised that I talk about quickly.
No.
So this book came out in 1968, believe it or not.
And it's got a completely different title when it's actually the movie.
Yes. Because
it has the most unusual title of any film, any book.
So the novel is set in post-apocalyptic San Francisco, where Earth's life has been greatly damaged by the nuclear global war. Most animal species are endangered or extinct from extreme radiation poisoning, so that owning an animal is now the signs of status and empathy, an attitude encouraged towards animals. The book serves as a primary basis, obviously, for a certain film, which is my number one, of course, which is Blade Runner. And the title is Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? And again, it is maybe double the thickness of H.G. Wells' Time Machine.
Yeah, not a big book, is it?
No, but it's and again, it's well worth a read. I've read that book about 3 or 4 times personally.
Mm.
And if you don't get on with the movie because it's too slow, have a read of the book and see what you think.
Yeah, because at 200 pages it'll go too fast.
Yeah, it will do, won't it? Anyway, so that's a little brief few I can put in there. So, other than we'll talk about another one. What about your ones you got?
Well, a lot of mine are sort of like series of books. So, and the way I've split it up is down to some of my favourite authors as well. and the books that they've released. So the first one I'm going to mention is not Douglas Adams, but it's going to actually be Arthur C. Clarke.
Yeah.
And obviously there we have 2001 A Space Odyssey, we have 2010, 2061, and then one he released just before he died, which was 3001. And that was about the astronaut who was left floating through the solar system, when Hal started to go mad, and he attacked him using the pod because his body was frozen to the vacuum of space, and then in the future he was brought back in 3001. So that was an interesting twist on that sort of tale, actually. But I loved the whole of the 2001 sort of quadrilogy, as it were, of books. But I also loved the movies. So, and for me, the movies happen first. And bearing in mind, it's like, what kids are like. They need lots of stimulus, don't they? Especially modern day kids. They look at the old Star Wars and think it's rubbish in comparison to the prequels because there's more action going on.
Yeah.
But that's just millenniums, isn't it? So when I was a kid, films were a lot more slower, and this was one of the first films that I ever saw. And I watched this when I was, 6? Before I saw Star Wars, because it was on TV or something or other. And my mum and dad being science fiction fans at that point, which has then moved off science fiction later on, but showed us this. And it was it was a start of my love of all things sort of sci-fi. And then, then it'd progress on to things like the Stepford Wives.
Well, see, funny enough, I didn't. I mean, I could have put a few more books in, but just due to time restraint, really. I don't think at the time. But, I mean, I loved horror books.
Yeah.
And great fan of Stephen King.
Yeah.
But then that wasn't really your cup of tea, was it?
No, I've never been into horror particularly. I used to watch when I was 18, the Elm Street movies and stuff like that, but horror's never been something that I've had any real interest in. But and I've never really read much of Stephen King, although I like some of the movies that are based on his books. But one of the first books I read that I still read occasionally now was Arthur C. Clarke with the 2001 books. And then also other books that he did, because he did The Rendezvous with Rama, Rama 2, Garden of Rama, and Rama Revealed. So that is an alternative future where a spacecraft is seen flying through the universe, and it's like this cylinder that is miles and miles long, and a crew dock with it and then go and explore this place and find out that there's machines living on this thing, and escape just before it takes off to go interstellar.
Yeah.
And then 80 years later another Rama craft appears, and another crew is sent to map and study Rama, and various different things happen, which then lead on to the stories for Garden of Rama and Rama Revealed. And the great books, although have actually a religious link to it as well, in terms of where they actually go, but don't let that put you off, because it's not like an overly religious thing. Certainly, I think was it Garden of Rama or Rama Revealed is about a lot of humans going onto one of the Rama craft and actually living on it while it goes interstellar, and coming across other alien creatures who are also living on it, and start a war with them and stuff like that. So there's lots of things that happen in these books, and are really good books to listen to read and listen to if you got them on Audacity. or the audiobook version. Another one that I really love is Childhood's End by Arthur C. Clarke as well, and that is again an alternate future, and I think it was on Sky about a year or two ago, where children are evolving, and these alien visitors come to help their transition. And that's what the story's about, but these alien visitors look like devils. As in, hell and devils. So, so some people distrust them and stuff like that, but that's another good story. Moving on, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, a trilogy in 5 parts. This was like staple reading when I was a kid. These books came along when I was about 10. Obviously, the radio series came first, and the books were wrote afterwards.
Yeah, because I'm just looking. If I could just still turn away from the mic a minute.
Yeah.
I think my Douglas Adams goes as far as Mostly Harmless. That's one thick book.
Yes. Well, Mostly Harmless was the last in the Douglas Adams version of the universe, and then there was a new version that was released a few years ago called And Another Thing, which was based on Douglas Adams' original material, but it wasn't wrote by Douglas Adams.
Right. Okay.
And this was actually the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy was number 1 at the New York Times bestseller list for ages as well. But obviously, the characters that were created, Arthur Dent wandering the galaxy in his dressing gown, Ford Prefect, who named himself because he thought that the name, Ford and Prefect was a very average sort of human name, Zaphod Beeblebrox with 2 heads, Tricia McMillan as Trillian, a woman from Earth who renamed herself as Trillian when she went into space with Zaphod Beeblebrox. Marvin, the paranoid android with, I think you ought to know I'm feeling very depressed.
It's a very niche, because I think...
It is.
A lot of people might be thinking about what the heck are you talking about?
It's a sci-fi comedy, and it includes time travel and all of those sort of, things that you would get in standard, in various different forms of science fiction. I mean, the amount of times that they go back and forward in time on it. I mean, there's the Big Bang Burger Bar at the beginning of time, and, the second book, the restaurant at the end of the universe. Bet you can't guess what point in time that is. But it's just Douglas Adams' absolutely fantastic sense of humour. And, having characters sort of like called Slarty Bartfast, who, because the story is about them finding the planet of Magrathea, which the Magratheans, who lived thousands of years previously and gone into hypersleep, used to build planets for rich people, and the Earth was a planet that was built for mice to answer the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything, which the answer was 42. And the reason why the answer made no question is because nobody had actually properly framed what the question was. So, and it was about trying to find out what the answer was. Then in a later book, you found out that you can't have the answer and the question known in the same universe because they're mutually exclusive and would recreate a different universe where you'd have a different answer and question. And so, so that was quite amusing. And then they made a TV series out of it as well, and then there's been a film out of it as well. I like the TV series, to be honest, because the TV series came out just when the books were starting to come to my consciousness, and I watched the TV series while reading the book. So, and later on, what was it, about 2012, I went to see the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy radio show live on stage with the original actors from the radio show on there as well.
Yeah, which included some of them from the TV show as well, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, Mark. It did. Well, Simon Jones. Was it Simon Jones?
He was the book. Was he the book?
Yeah, he was. I'm trying to think of. Who it was.
If I could get to my vinyl, I've got the first two on over there as well.
No, Peter Jones was the book.
Okay.
Simon Jones was Arthur Dent.
Right.
And then there was Geoffrey McGivern, Mark Wing Davies, Susan Sarandon, who's no longer with us, and Stephen Moore.
Yeah, because didn't they use two different Trillions from the TV show to the radio show?
Yeah, because it was Peter Davison's wife who played Trillion on the.
She was the one that really, I'll say annoying voice. Yeah. Because it was Susan Sarandon who was the original one, and then she was replaced by Sandra Dickinson. That was it. That's Sandra Dickinson. That's what I remember. Yeah.
But in the audiobook version of And Another Thing, then because Susan Sarandon's no longer with us, Sandra Dickinson was reintroduced as Trillion. But what they said was that because the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy also dealt with multiverses, that she was a Trillion from another multiverse.
No, do you know what? Right. Give me 1 second. I'm going to take my headphones off for a second, right?
Yeah.
Stay with me. 1 second. This is live radio going wrong, but never mind. So for me, right, I get confused. So I have got the collector's edition of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy in the CD collection.
Yeah.
And that is a huge amount of discs.
It is, because you've got the primary, secondary, tertiary, quandary and quintessential phase in that. Yeah.
But also secondary to that, I've got two other CDs.
Yeah, which will be the books.
Which is the quandary phase and the quintessential phase.
Yeah, but so you've got the same thing twice then, because if you've got the complete collection, then that
because I don't think
that's
actually because the quintessential is mostly harmless.
Yeah.
And the quandary phase is so long and thanks for all the fish. And they're separate to the other one.
Okay, so the collection that you've got's up to Life of the Universe and Everything, which was the third book.
I think it is, yeah. When I have a look at the CDs, but they're fantastic, really good. If you're on a long journey, like we listen to Ready Player One.
Yeah,
I can listen to these CDs exactly the same way.
Oh, that's what I do as well. If I'm on a long journey, it's nothing better than sticking on a bit of Hitchhiker's Guide and going off somewhere and listening to that. Because it's just so entertaining. And it's the mind of Douglas Adams in when he's, when they're on one of the planets and it's about about shoes and about the fact that one layer of, when they're doing archaeology, in terms of the planet, is about the shoe layer, where this whole society kind of imploded because the only thing that they sold was shoes and everybody starved to death.
So if you've got a good bit of time, because the 8 CDs in the box that I've got, that's a running time of 7 hours 40 minutes, just for that.
That's not that long though, all things considered.
No,
I think that each phase is somewhere about 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah, it's a bit. Sometimes it gets, because the way it works, it gets a little bit blended into each other, I think.
It does get a bit repetitive in a couple of places as well. But there's one of the things I love is Agrajag as a character. So Agrajag is an entity that keeps getting reincarnated as a different thing. Yeah, so he starts off as a fly in prehistoric Earth.
Yeah.
He starts off as a rabbit in prehistoric Earth. So what happens is Arthur Dent is stranded in prehistoric Earth, so he kills him as a rabbit, and then cooks and eats him, but makes his skin into a bag. And then Agwajag gets reincarnated as a fly, to which then Arthur Dent squashes him with the bag of his skin, or swats him. And then something else happens, so then he gets reincarnated as a cow, which Arthur Dent then kills and eats.
Because it gets a bit bizarre when they get back, because what they're doing, they're on a mission on a space station, but they land on prehistoric Earth.
Yeah.
At the start of the Earth's life, if you with me.
Well, that was the Gogol Frinchams, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, then obviously there was a point there that that Arthur Dent had a bit of a falling out with Ford for a while, so they had separate caves.
Yes, yeah. And I found Slarty Bartfast's signature on the coast.
They are fantastic.
You have to read the books to understand the humour in it, but it is really very funny. And then he introduces new things. I mean, it's like just even some of the quotes, because the way that the book goes is you're reading it, and then it'll start to go into a description from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is a book. Okay, so it's an electronic book, and bear in mind, this is going back to the 70s, when there wasn't such a thing as an electronic book, but Douglas Adams had thought of this. And basically, the Hitchhiker's Guide is a cheap guide to the universe for people to be able to hitchhike across the universe and understand what to do. So it's like things like, about why a towel is so useful. And, how, because, you're a really hoopy-froo dude who really knows where his towel is.
Yeah.
And all of these sort of phrases that come out in this book. But the story, sometimes it keeps going on to specific kind of things, like, for example, talking about what a babelfish is.
Yeah. It's a fantastic idea, though, isn't it?
It is, because a babelfish is a fish that you stick in your ear and instantly translates all form of language into a way that you can understand.
So it's like Star Trek's idea of having the
universal translator. Yeah. Yeah. But the whole thing is that it starts off with Arthur Dent waking up one morning to find out his house was being bulldozed to make way for a bypass. And then as he's lying there in the mud, or rather he'd gone to the pub at that point, hadn't he? But then these Vogons come to demolish the Earth to make way for a hyperspace bypass.
Yeah, and they could have actually protested against it, but not realising that the details were in a basement somewhere in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, in Alpha Centauri, which was only 5 light years away.
Where have you people been, for Christ's sake?
If you can't be bothered to take interest in local affairs, that's your own problem.
But it's quite funny, because when they went from this to the film, I think they got, even though some of it wasn't quite right, they did get the Vogons pretty much spot on, I thought.
The Vogons, yeah, but I think where they went wrong in a lot of the film is they took it too far away from the actual source material. I mean, it's like the bit I was saying before about the Arthur Dent being in front of the bulldozer, and he's laying in front of a bulldozer to stop the council from knocking down his house, and there's a guy called Prosser who's in charge of knocking down his house, and then his friend Ford Prefect turns up and actually argues with this Prosser to say, well, are you happy that he's going to stay there all day? Yes, we are. Well, you don't actually need him to stay there all day, so can we nip off to the pub and we'll cover for you later on and you can do the same sort of thing? And he has this argument with this bloke, and then he ends up laying in front of the bulldozer to take Arthur's place.
Well, I think it's no disrespect to have an American put a film out, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But it's very British. They did try to keep it that way.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it, but I'd say the radio show's a damn sight better.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I think the radio show, well, that was the original source material as well, and that was really good.
Yeah. And I'm glad that I do have the original. I've got the radio show in this form, and I've got some of it in vinyl as well. So I've got.
Well, what I've actually got is the audio recording from the show that I went to see live on stage.
Didn't you email me that? If I remember, I have to have a look for it again.
No, I didn't.
I thought you did. No, I'm sure you did.
No. I was gonna send it to you, but I don't think I did. But it's a absolutely great thing. I mean, obviously, you could only get that if you were actually at the show, and that wasn't me recording it myself. It was actually professionally recorded doing it as well.
You can do that. Sometimes you can go to certain concerts and they'll do a CD for you of the show you're at, and then you can go and collect it once it's finished. Yeah, and that's what I did. So anyway, let's move on from Douglas from Hitchhikers. We have got a bit to do, but also Dirt Gently's Holistic Detective Agency and A Long Dark Tea Time of the Soul, like those books as well. So it's they're about Dirt Gently as his character, which has things like an electronic monk and stuff like that. It's an interesting sort of thing, is that, as is the Salmon of Doubt, which is kind of a bit like half a book rather than a full story as well. But he had a great mind. It's such a shame, that all of that sort of, that he died so tragically young. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Other author I like is Timothy Zahn. Have you ever heard of him?
Not too sure.
He's done a lot of different sort of books, but particularly what I liked him for was the first books I ever read of his, which were Star Wars related ones.
Yeah.
And it was a trilogy. It was Heir to the Empire, Dark Force Rising, and The Last Command. And it was about legend stuff now, so it's decanonized, but some of the stuff from that has actually come into the actual full stuff. So for example, there it was talking about Kessel and about what that was all about, but also it introduced Grand Admiral Thrawn, who then later appeared in Rebels.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, and I have a feeling that we're going to see him in one of the Star Wars stories at some point as well, to be honest. But, absolutely, if you like Star Wars books and you're not bothered about whether or not they're classified as canon now, because they were proper canon until Disney took over, and then Disney went through a lot of the canon material and decanonized it. But it's basically, the story is about, it introduces Mara Jade, who in the legend sort of side marries Luke Skywalker, but she was the hand of the Emperor. She was a dark Jedi sort of character, being trained by Palpatine, and she went to kill Luke Skywalker after the Emperor had been killed, and ended up marrying him. So I thought she probably thought that was a better way of punishing him.
Okay.
But yeah, but it's a really good story, and there's a whole subplot about how the Empire is trying to re-establish itself, and Grand Admiral Thrawn looks to a Jedi who's basically mad. He's a clone of a Jedi who'd gone out to the Outer Rim and into unknown space, called Joruus C'baoth, and how he tried to manipulate him to control the Empire in the way that Sidious had done. So that was that story. Really good books, and I think it was again New York bestseller. Frank Herbert's Dune.
Yeah.
Those books, brilliant books, all of them. There's so many in that now, and his son has started or is doing those books as well. There's like prequel ones about the Harkonnens and the Atreides. I love the stories. You know, I grew up reading those books when I was before teenager, to be honest.
Yeah.
And like Dune's a massively thick book. And then Children of Dune, you know, God Emperor Dune, Chapter House Dune, all of that.
Yeah,
loads of them. Other books I like. I do like a bit of Sue Townsend, actually. This is completely different direction now. But
these are kids' books.
No, they're not. No, the first one is the Secret Diary of Adrian Mole, age 13 3/4, is a kid's book. And so is The Growing Pains of Adrian Mole, and I grew up on that, and I remember watching a TV series of it as well.
This is where we are apart now, because I do. I'm much aware of it, but it just wasn't my thing.
Yeah, but
I was probably too older to appreciate it as kids would.
Probably, but this was the sort of stuff we'd read in English literature and stuff like that as well at school. But then she continued to make them, but made them with her adult audience who grew up with those books. So there's Adrian Mole, The Wilderness Years, The Cappuccino Years, and The Prostate Years. So Adrian Mole as a character is kind of like basically grew up with me, if you see what I mean. And it's just really sort of, you know, the good books, if you were into the original material as a kid, how it's, you know, matured, to be honest. And I've really quite enjoyed, it's just a different sort of slant, or, you know, than the normal sci-fi stuff that I would normally read. Or, you know, another book that I've not put on the list, but, you know, like A Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawking. As well,
it'll be all night. That's why I only chose a few books, to be honest. I chose 3 books because it's. I mean, I could go on about Stephen King. I could probably go on about quite a few other authors. Yeah. As well, but it's not easy.
It isn't. No, I mean, I've little ones. I'll just very quickly skip the last ones. So, Bram Stoker's Dracula.
I've read that.
Yeah, that's a good book, especially for its age. I don't know whether or not you've read it. One that you probably enjoy. William Shatner's Get a Life.
I think I might have listened to that one.
Yeah, it's really good because it's about how he moved from having this view of Star Trek fans of, you know, Get a Life.
I think he regretted it though, coming into the book, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, it was about how he'd transitioned, and he was telling stories about how he'd met one girl who had bipolar disorder, and what she did was she would assume either a Kirk or a Spock persona, depending upon her circumstances of what sort of skills that she needed to develop.
Yeah.
So, you know, if she needed to be cool, calm, and collected, she'd be Spock, and if she needed to be all emotional, she'd be Kirk. So that was quite, you know, it was really, he gave some very interesting accounts and about how he'd moved from being you're pathetic, you know, this is a TV series or whatever to.
You need to read Leonard, actually. Or if not read it, get it on audio.
Yeah, I want to, actually.
Because it's very
I've watched, I've watched the movie of it.
No, it's not really a movie. It's I mean, it's
a documentary, isn't it?
The documentary was only his son's stuff doing. But if you listen to the book is their life and they're coming together and how they've been together all the time till Leonard Nimoy died. Yeah. And there's a lot of stuff in there I didn't even know about.
I might get the
audio book. Brilliant. It is really good. Yeah.
So last two. Imzadi by Peter David, Next Generation novel. That explored the relationship of Riker and Troy, which was quite good. I
think I only listened. The only books I read at the time was more to do with the original series. I never really got into. I think because obviously that was my first. Next Gen was second to the original series. But
well, it is for me, to be honest. But I got into those books. I mean, DC Fontana books and stuff like that.
Yeah, DC Fontana, especially with the original series stuff that she did.
Yeah,
there's a lot of those books.
And Diane Duane as well.
Yeah,
but I quite liked her doing the Next Generation Dark Mirror because I loved the Dark Mirror universe. So there are a few of my books as well. I did used to read quite a lot of books. I don't have the time nowadays, but there you go.
No, I think I used to read a few books more when I saw a movie as a kid. I think I would read the novelisation version of it as well. I
wasn't quite like that, but if it was, certain franchises or whatever, I would absorb everything. But I used to read loads of the original series Star Trek. And I've still got them actually in my loft at my mum's house. All of the old books with, the covers and whatever.
Yeah, I've got a lot of Doctor Who novels as well.
Yeah, I've got a few of them.
Very nice.
I'm not really that bothered about. I've never been that bothered about Doctor Who, to be fair.
And I've got a lot of football books as well.
I definitely don't have any of them.
But it depends what you call books. Because I've got a lot of. I've just turned around to have a look at some of them there. I've got a lot of reference books for Star Trek, especially. There's quite a few there. Sits there.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. So there you go. That's a few of our favourite books.
Yeah, then when we wake up again.
Yeah. Bet you're really glad that you asked us now, aren't you? Before we move on, we haven't had a chance to really talk about this other than a bit of messaging, but one of the things that we were talking about was maybe doing something slightly different on a future debate and actually putting it open to you guys to have a Room 101 session where you tell us what you want to go in Room 101 and we decide whether or not it should go in.
I wonder if we could, to make this one last, is whether or not to have, it depends how many we can get, where we could have a debate with 4.
Yeah.
Then we could have one that goes through and then have another 4 the week after that, depending on how many people are interested in doing it. Because we could have it could be quite a few people that could have their, few pet hates.
Well, what we could do is if we did 4, we could say we had to keep 2 and put 2 in.
Or something like that, yeah. It's very similar, very similar to the way the show works, where they have 4 guests.
Yeah.
And out of all, they'll have, the 4 guests will have, say, 4 each, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And we can then say which ones and say who out of that 4 people is the winner.
Yeah.
As well. Maybe. To see how much feedback we get back on it.
Yeah, so let us know if you like the idea of the Room 101 sort of thing, because obviously we want to make it interactive and include you guys in as much as we can, and obviously the debate way that we do it at the moment is one way. This was just another way of an idea that I came up with that maybe I thought might be an interesting and fun thing to do. So with that, we'll move on to your listener questions.
John, what's happening to us?
Okay, listener question time, and as normal, we have Mark kicking us off with, how does your game completion rate compare now with the previous console generation? So Steve, how's it comparing?
A lot less than it was before.
Why is
Very
that?
much. I used to love the idea of getting achievements in games, but now I don't care as much. I don't mind them popping up, but I don't look at it as if, it's my sole goal in the game. My goal in the game is to enjoy it to the best way I can. And the achievement will come second, depending on what it is.
If it's a game that you've enjoyed, would you go back to mop up achievements?
Sometimes, because I did that with Fallout 3 and I finished that one off with 1,500, for example.
You also did that with...
Probably with something else, I'm sure.
No, what was it? Life is Strange.
Yeah, so I went back and did all the camera shots.
Yeah.
But it depends what it is and how easy it is to go back and do that. I think a lot of games are getting tougher and tougher to do that now.
Yeah, games tend to fall in one of 2 ways. Either it's very sort of linear and you can't go back, or you can very easily go back and just mop up the last bits of achievements.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, games like, for example, Detroit Most Human, you can go back, but you'd have to do so many different variations of each level. You'd be there forever.
Yeah, no,
to
some games it works well, some games it probably doesn't. But platinum in games, I haven't even done one yet, so I'm not even bothered, to be honest.
Yeah.
I could find an easy one just to get one, but I can't be asked.
Yeah. I have to admit, for me, being an achievement whore, as the term
you are,
Yeah, but I used to play games literally for an achievement. So, I might even, if my brother-in-law had a game and he said, I don't like the game, but there's a couple of easy achievements, I'd borrow it off him and then just do the easy achievements and give him the disc back, sort of thing. So consequently, my completion rate used to be pretty dire. But nowadays, as I said earlier on, I've completed 31 games this year so far, and that's either 1K'd platinum or at least completed the story. And 19 of them are absolute complete completions. So I would say, if anything, the last year I've probably worked harder at actually completing games than any other time that I've had a console.
Does that take the enjoyment away? Because you're concentrating so much on these achievements, I think you can lose how much you're playing the game and how much you can enjoy it.
No, I don't, because sometimes going for an achievement makes you play a game in a different way. It makes you try something different in it. To be honest, I can't really be bothered with games with heavy collections. The one that always comes to mind is collecting 100 feathers. I did it. But, now I've got Assassin's Creed 2.
I think I'd put the orbs in Crackdown above that, because I did that one, but...
Or the orbs in Saints Row 5 or 4. That was pretty similar as well. There isn't a Saints Row 5 for Saints Row 4. Yeah, I'm not really into doing that sort of thing. A friend of mine, he completed Just Cause 2, and there's over 2,000 collectibles in that, and he 1K'd it. And in order to 1K it, you had to get every collectible. I could not be bothered. That is, for me, that would be, I have no money to buy any other games.
Well, it's just that if you really love the game, then why not, I suppose?
Yeah, but there's really loving the game, and then there's that to me feels a bit more like obsessive compulsive disorder, to be honest.
Well, come on, you like that sometimes, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. I can be obsessive compulsive about some achievements, but not when it's confronted with 2,000. It's like I was playing Jak 2 or 3 the other day, the PlayStation. Yeah, because I do play games that I don't talk about, actually, as well. And there was one bit where I would have had to have done something about 100 times to actually complete it, and it would have taken me about an hour and a half, and I thought, I'm not going to bother with that. So that means I'll never platinum that game. But I thought, I can't be bothered to go and do that, to be honest. So, my completion rate is significantly lower. Well, it's not significant, it's about 86%, but yeah. But the story's complete, because it was an optional sort of objective. But no, it really does depend on the game. But I think a lot of games that I've been playing recently have been more or less open ended, because I think when you get to a massive game like GTA 5, I just lose myself, and then I lose all will to live. And that's one of the reasons why I don't play Skyrim and I'm not interested in it, is just because I did start playing that and I just ended up going down so many side roads and lost the main plot, and I just lost the plot in the game as well. So yeah, no, I do try and complete more games nowadays, just so I can maximise my money out of it, if nothing else, and my achievements.
I don't. Sometimes, if you play a game for 6 hours and it costs you 20 quid,
yeah,
I think you're getting value for money because of how you can replace that 20 quid for watching a movie, where you get more time out of it in a game than you would a movie. Sometimes you might watch it 2 or 3 times, but that's over a longer time period.
Yeah.
Hey ho.
Yeah. Okay. So, second question. Do you want to ask it?
Yeah, okay, so do you have as much time to play games as you'd like to? And how many hours do you play a week? Right now?
Well, you're not playing anything because you're watching football.
Yeah, I know. But this, yeah, I mean, I could have 4 hours a night. Easy.
Yeah. I could do 3 or 4 hours easy.
Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
And then, depending on how the day goes, and if I've got some free time, if the wife's out shopping or something, and I can, depending on what I'm doing, because I do listen more to music now and sort of spread my hobby time out a bit more than just gaming.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, carry on.
No, it's just, that's it, yeah, really. But, I will just spread my hobby time out a bit more, not one directional, if there's such a word to use.
I have to admit, sometimes I just can't be bothered to play.
I can't be. I don't even. I might boot up the game, but I might just sit there and look at what's out there and what there is to do and think, well, no, do you know what? I can't be asked.
Yeah.
But it's no disrespect, because there are certain games that are going to come out that you're going to want to chomp at the bit for.
Well, I mean, it's like, once I started playing Detroit Become Human, that was it. I was playing that until it was done. Mm. Whereas other games will be like complete slow burners with us. It's like I'm about halfway through BioShock 1 and 2 on the remaster.
Mm.
And I'm not overly bothered, but at some point I'll pick it up and I'll just carry on where I left off. But you get that sort of like that Gandalf moment. I have no recollection of this place. Because sometimes I'm in the middle of a game and I'm thinking, I don't remember ever getting here. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I must play games when I'm half asleep because I
fall asleep playing games sometimes.
Oh, I know that, because the amount of times that I keep hitting you in Destiny to wake you up so that your controller vibrates. Hoping it'll wake you up, and sometimes it doesn't.
I work bloody hard sometimes, and it just takes it out of you.
I'm not knocking that, mate. I'm not knocking that. You're a hard-working bloke, as we both are. But it's just sometimes, I don't know if you've ever had this experience where you're playing a game and then you sort of like drift off, and then when you wake up, either because of a lack of activity, your controller's gone off and the game's shut down, or you save the game when you wake up without considering where you are, and then switch it off, and then you switch the game on the next day and you think, I don't remember any of this.
Which, like, I'd get the missus and we'd be watching something on Netflix. She'd nod off.
Yeah.
And I'll turn it off and start playing a game or something. And then she'd go back to it and say, well, I don't remember this bit. I said, yeah, because you fell asleep. Same thing.
Yeah. So, next question then. Lost or Heroes?
That's a difficult debate, to be honest, but I'm going to say Heroes.
I'm going to say Lost.
I'll have both shows, actually, to be honest.
I do, but I definitely, if I had to stick one in Room 101 and keep the other, it would be, I'd keep Lost. I love that show.
You would stay Lost rather than...
Yeah, I love that show. I absolutely loved Lost as a TV series. I think it was such a shame when it ended.
Well, there's a debate in itself if we're ever going to go down that route. But
Well, I'd love to do a show on Lost. We have to go back.
It was a great show.
It was.
Okay, Oliver Brooks. Is it coming home? It damn right is.
Well, if you're on about my order for Terminator 2, then yes, it is coming home. If you're on about something else, I have no knowledge about what you're talking about. I've just not any interest at all in football.
24 million watched the midweek game. 24 million. That is a lot.
I don't care that 24 million people watched a game that children play at school.
Moving on, because I just get wound up over this. Come on.
I know, and I love winding you up about it as well. What was your favourite cartoon? Oh, sorry, Alan Cochrane. What was your favourite cartoon when you were kids?
God, there's a load. It's not just one.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the Hanna-Barbera cartoons.
Yeah.
Like
the Wacky Races.
And Jetsons and Flintstones.
Yeah.
Hong Kong Phooey.
I loved Hong Kong Phooey. What a guy.
There's... Oh, God. Just so many.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
Yeah, I think Hanna-Barbera's got a lot to answer for that lot.
He has. I used to love all of those as well. I was of the era where it was sort of like also He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
You see, that was
That was a bit late for you.
Yeah, because I'm not say cartoons, but I could say stuff like the Tomorrow People.
Yeah.
And do you know what that is? Do you know?
Yes, I know what the Tomorrow People are.
Or it wasn't more the Wells, but it was called Tripods.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, BBC.
Yeah, or there's one about the Stones.
Yeah. What about the Triffids? Day of the Triffids.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's more drama. But we were talking about cartoons. So
yeah, but cartoons. Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a different era of kids, and some of the people obviously listening to the show will be He-Man and stuff. You know, Thundercats maybe.
Yeah. I was old enough to still appreciate Thundercats.
No, didn't. Couldn't give two hoots, to be honest.
Thunder.
But then
Thunder.
I'm gonna say something else there, because I know it's not cartoon, but it might. I'm going to put it in the cartoon range because it wasn't live action, but it was puppets.
Oh, the Muppets.
No. Thunderbirds, Stingray, Captain Scarlet.
Yeah.
And by the way, just to let you know, because I've listened to the first two shows, there's a Jerry Anderson podcast now.
Okay, I'm going to have to listen to that as well. But I used to love that.
You know, because although Jamie Anderson's on that, and he's had a good couple of it. They've had 2 interviews on that show with Sophia Miles.
I'll tell you what else as well. You want to get on Facebook and look up the Space 1999 group. Yeah,
they more devoted just to that one show.
Yeah.
Because you need to do one. I mean, Jerry Anderson one would be ideal, because there was, this. Oh God, I could do a Jerry Anderson show.
Well,
easy.
Well, why don't we do that? Why don't we do a special on Jerry Anderson? Because
there's so much about that. As a child, because I was living through the early 70s.
Yeah.
Where a lot of you kids a lot of people who listen to the show weren't even born then.
I was born in the early 70s.
No, but there's a lot that weren't. And so as a kid, they remember Thundercats and stuff like that. And
yeah. Transformers.
Yeah, no, that was past my time. I was at work then.
Yeah, Transformers was at the end of my sort of time as well.
I think the last thing that was around was probably Jerry Anderson's Space Precinct.
Space Precinct.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. And do you remember BBC's Space Cops as well? That wasn't a cartoon, that was live action. But,
yeah.
Oh God, that was bad, but in a good sort of way.
But then you had cartoons. You had cartoons on the Banana Split show, didn't you?
Yeah, I used to love the Banana Splits. Nah. In a matter of fact, remember when it used to be the I've forgotten what the name of the strike was on the moon. But when you used to get that sword, I used to start singing the Banana Splits while we were playing. Da 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 da. You had
the Shazam, the cartoon, when you was like, sort of like, Prince of Persia style, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then he had that Adventure Island as well.
Mm.
Oh. As a matter of fact, I bought my son used to. I got my son into them. I got him on DVD, and when he was really little, he used to put them on when we were lying in bed trying to just get it, either on a morning or when he was like just on a bit of settle down time. And he's really grown to love those as well. I'll tell you another one I used to like as well, the original Star Trek cartoon, the original series.
Yeah, no, I watched all that as a kid, yeah.
Yeah, I've got them on DVD.
Yeah, I need to buy the Blu-ray box set of those.
Yeah, so do I, actually. Just so I can, have it in full glorious 1080p. Okay, so, next one then. Oh, it's you.
So, hello, gents. Yeah, I've been really enjoying Jurassic World.
This is Mark Tudor, by the way.
Mark Tudor, by the way, yeah. Do you have any recommendations on similar games that are easy to get to grips with?
Easy to get to grips with games.
Something similar to that, maybe?
Well, Planetbase.
Or maybe, or even if you've got Game Pass, give City Skylines a go.
Yeah, that's it. I've not played it on Xbox, but I've played it on PC, and that's an enjoyable game. And if you've also got PC, try a bit of Civ. You can pick up older versions of Civ on Humble Bundle for quite cheap with all of the DLC. Civ 5 rather than 6. Or Civ 4.
Yeah, I remember. What was that? What was the one with the flying swords? Was that Sim 2000 in the Sim games, not the Civ?
The Sim City 2000.
Yeah. Do you remember those?
Yeah, I do.
They were pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, next one.
Michael Edwards, who is your favourite fictional character and why?
God, that's a toughie. Fictional character.
Yeah.
You got one?
Han Solo.
You would, wouldn't you?
I would.
Oh, you'd sleep with him if he was available. I know that.
No, I wouldn't. But I would have, bromance.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean.
Either that or else Captain Kirk.
Yeah, no, I mean, see, that would be easy get out of jail card, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Just trying to think.
Well, are you going to say who you're going to go to this Destination Star Trek as this year as Captain Picard?
Because I'm bald.
Yeah.
I mean, as a kid, I suppose one of mine. Was that a big moth trying to get through the window? Go away. As a younger kid, I used to love Flash Gordon.
So a bit of Sam Jones for you then.
That'd be Buster Crabbe, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I suppose. Because you're not thinking about the 70s version of Flash Gordon.
No, I'm talking about the 60s version. I used to watch
it'd be earlier than that, mate. It'd be the 40s version of Flash
40s
Gordon.
40s, yeah, it would, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Buster Crabbe, God.
Yeah.
That was black. My dad used to watch that at the cinema when he was a kid. No, literally he did. He used to tell us about the time, we used to, either that or else it was the Lone Ranger and Tonto.
Yeah, I watched that as well.
Yeah, I watched the colour version of that when it was on.
Yeah, I saw the black and white as a kid.
Yeah.
Because we had black and white TV then.
I had a black and white TV in my bedroom when I was a kid. It's the first time
didn't get it till probably early 70s, get to colour TV. I can't remember. I think it was something like that.
I had a black and white TV in the 80s in my bedroom, early 80s. And I used to sit there and watch, OTT with Chris Tarrant, which was the adult version of, Tiz was.
Mm.
And the Rocky Horror Show. I didn't have a screwed up childhood at all.
No, you still wanted to get out in that underwear. I know you did.
Well, I do know all of the words to a sweet transvestite.
See? Exactly. So, is this the last question?
Yes, it is.
This is an easy question. Go on, fire away.
Craig Cole, which gadget from any sci-fi series or film would you love to have for real?
That's an easy one.
Go on in.
I'd say the hologram, the holodeck in Star Trek.
That's not a gadget, that's a room.
No, it's a gadget because it's not a room. It's a gadget though.
Okay, your man cave. Is your man cave a gadget?
No.
No, exactly. So the holodeck
is a technology. It might be. It's a gadget in a box that sits into a room that expands that room. No,
I think that barely qualifies as a gadget there, to be honest.
But if you're going to talk about a little bit of kit that you can hold in your hand...
Yeah, I think, to be honest, to be fair, because otherwise I could say, well, I'll have the USS Enterprise D, and then I'll have that and the transporters and everything else in it.
It would be a gadget, though, wouldn't it? Do you know what I mean?
It's not. I think a gadget is something like a tricorder or a lightsaber or something like that.
Mm.
And not like James Bond's submersible Lotus. That's not a gadget, that's a vehicle.
No, but that was a gadget. Well, the gadgets were built in the car, weren't they?
Yeah, so you could have a rocket launcher or an oil leak slick thing, but you can't have the Lotus because that's the vehicle. And like you can't have the holodeck because it's a room.
Mm.
So what gadget would you have?
I don't know. What would you have?
That's a difficult question, actually. There are so many, and I think...
Because a lot of the gadgets are for real now, aren't they, in one way or another?
Well, yeah, I mean, you look, the old pads, they just have an eye in front of them now. The Star Trek pads, they are now called iPads.
Yeah, tablets and all sorts.
Yeah.
Communicators, phones, flip phones.
Yeah, exactly. But I suppose the ones that are out there, maybe a site-to-site transporter.
What about the one that... in Terminator 2, where John Connor was able to put that in a cash machine and just empty the money out.
Yeah, but that's kind of maybe a bit illegal. And you know what? I'm going to go with a lightsaber.
Of course you would. I'm surprised you didn't go for the blaster.
No, I'd go for a lightsaber.
Hmm.
Because that's really cool. You could cut your way through anything, just about.
Well, you could get a lightsaber toast. Make your toast as you cut it.
Well, that's off Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy movie, isn't it?
I know, that's why I said it.
But you could have a full one and he could do a bigger loaf.
Yeah, you could make yourself a right loaf there, couldn't you? Gadget.
Or maybe a tricorder.
Nah, I'll become a hypochondriac to that.
Well, no, because it could be about a tricorder for anything. It doesn't have to be a medical tricorder. Because that would be really good if you could, like, analyse things in that sort of way, because you could do lots of scientific discoveries and whatever.
Could you have an invisible cloak as a gadget?
Well, Harry Potter didn't he?
Yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. You could have
That'd
that.
do.
Okay. So, there we go. That's our gadgets then. Although Steve's going down a magical line.
Yeah, what you could do with a magical cloak, eh? List endless.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so that's the questions for this week. So thanks for sending them in, guys. And don't forget, we always post them on a Saturday. So if you want to send us any more questions, please do so. You can send us in during the week. And you can send us those in to the podcast at popculturegamers.co.uk. Or Steve could contact or send anything to you via
Twitter, yes, at Steve007. PSID, the real Steve007. Xbox Steve007. There you go.
Yep. Or your email, steve007 at popculturegamers.co.uk.
Exactly.
Or mine is HERJ at the UK at popculturegamers.co.uk. A lot of UK's going on in this. My Twitter, PSN, Xbox, Steam, and anything else that you can think of is HERJ UK, including Twitch and Mixer as well. Also, we have our website, popculturegamers.podbean.com. Don't forget you can follow us on Twitch. Sorry, not on Twitch, on Twitter at popculturegamer. Because unfortunately, with Twitter, we couldn't actually fit the S on at the end because it said it was too long. So we had to cut the S off. But yeah, so follow us on Twitter at popculturegamer and also on Instagram as well, aren't we?
Yeah, I've got that account running there, yeah.
Yeah, so lots of ways for you to get in contact with us. And don't forget, you can also listen to us on iTunes, on Podbean, and also on Spotify, on the Amazon Echo, and various other devices. So that's it for another week. Another show down.
And I'm dying to get out of this room because I think I'm dying in here.
So am I, because actually I've actually saved a lot of money from having to go to the sauna at the local gym with the amount I've sweat tonight.
Yeah, that's it, exactly.
Because we have to shut all of the windows and the doors in order to keep it as acoustically good as we possibly can.
Well, saying that, I've got one open.
I haven't got anything up because my house where I am faces out onto the main road, and as soon as a vehicle comes past, all you can hear is that. But we've now got nice thick double glazing. So that's it for this week. We'll be back next week, and it's a good night from me.
And good night from him.
Good night.
Good night.
You are about to witness history in the making.